Good day sa JPT Reviewees. I'm Architect Annie Pojeda and I will be facilitating your review for the refresher para sa building utilities. So itong ating setup, meron tayong tatlong segments. The first is of course pre-recorded, so ito na to. And the second one is also pre-recorded, but that would be your pre-board, so my explanation. And the last would be a live cast, which would be held sometime next week, I think, Saturday or Sunday. So ang purpose natin dito is of course you were given questions from utilities na dapat alam yung answer. Of course, I would be here to facilitate bakit ito yung answer, but ito yung probable answer. So there would be situations, there would also be part na meron tayong tinatawag na what questions lang. Or remember that the pool of questions here came from different reviews or different board exam mismo na questions. And they were all compiled and collated and reconstructed para magkaroon tayo ng idea kung ano yung tinanong. You will notice that building utilities can be repetitive. Bakit? Kasi yun yung principle doon nag-evolve. Tanggalin mo yung principle, tanggalin yung sistema, hindi organized. Kasi every time that you look at utilities, meron siyang prinsipyo, meron siyang rule of thumb. Hindi mo siya pwedeng sabihin na meron siyang flexibility or adaptability always kasi meron siyang fixed na mga tinatawag natin principle na hindi mo pwedeng baguhin. So, one very simple principle is pag dinakihan mo yung diameter ng pipe, ano mangyayari? Eh di mawawala ng pressure. Yan, hindi mo pwedeng tanggalin yan. Prinsipyo yan. And it's part of the situation. So, marami tayong mga questions na ganyan. And then please note, kaya nga situation depende sa situation. It might not be the fixed answer, but it is the answer for that particular situation. So, ma-explain naman natin yan on our discussion today. Kaya po, kailangan lang medyo intindihin nyo yung explanation at bigyan nyo ng analysis or critical thinking. Why is that the best option or the best answer to that situation? Okay? So, without further ado, we will be starting with the situations. And with these situations come the first question. So, dito na tayo. Okay, ready na po tayo ha? Okay, let's start with the first. So may situation. The situation is a residence housing a family composed of a couple, their two teenage kids, and two house helpers. I-analyze nyo. Two house helpers, medyo may kaya to. So anong relate? Kasi kung titignan nyo yung question, nakalagay, what is the size of the supply pipe from the distributing main to primary branch? So, makikita nyo rin ngayon yung given ng mga answers. First thing, if you have to analyze, supply pipe yan. So, mas maliit ang diameter, syempre, mas malakas ang pressure. Yun na lang doon ka na lang. So, if you look at the choices, even if without thinking talaga, or critical thinking, let's start with number or letter D. Okay, 38. Pwede, 1.5. But, if you look at the situation again, mukhang itong pamilya na to ay nasa isang area na hindi 60 PSI ang datingan ng MWSS sa pagbibigay ng kanilang water supply. So kasi ganito yun, hindi ba may low pressure, may medium pressure, may high pressure. Pagka ikaw ay low pressure sa area na yan, 30 PSI ang binibigay nila, mainam sa wala. Pagdating ngayon sa standard or normal, it's 60 PSI. Pagdating sa 60 PSI, ito yung talagang mostly yan ang sinusupply. Yan yung standard at least mayayaman or commercial, ang bigayan kagad ng 80 PSI, especially sa commercial, kasi they won't start at 60. Kasi pag 60, medyo kulang. Kailangan nila ng malakas na pressure kagad, especially when they're working sa kitchen. Pag ito naman mayayaman, there's always the need for mas malakas na pressure kasi alam niyo naman ang lifestyle nila. Minsan may swimming pool, minsan may mga jacuzzi, may mga shower that requires hot water and requires pressure. So, yan yung 80 PSI. So, 30, 60, 80. Now, on this situation now, we are assuming that it would be 80 PSI ang darating sa kanila as supply. So, if that's the case, then the maximum diameter for your supply pipe should be taken in. So, ngayon, between 50 and 38, yung isa ay 1.5 at yung isa naman ay 2 inches. Yun yung maximum sa supply pipe, which is 50 mm. So, ba't hindi 75? 3 inches na yan. 50 is 2 inches. 30 is 1.5. 75, do you think maganda pressure? Kasi sabi ko na as principle, maluwag na yan. Pang downspout na ang datingan ng diameter na yan. And if you look at letter C, which is 100, that's 4 inches. Saan ginagamit ang 4 inches? Hindi pa ang 4 inches is normally used for sanitary. Diba? 4 inches, 100 mm. So, think of it this way. Hindi ako gagamit ng A, ng C, maluluwag. Hindi rin ako gagamit ng 38 kasi sobrang liit naman compared sa, I stand corrected. Hindi sobrang liit, maliit sa 80 PSI. But when 80 PSI is given, ang tatanggap niya na maganda is a 50 mm diameter na supply pipe. So, that's the answer, 50 mm. So, there's also this thing na, halimbawa pag nagbibigay ng mga sentence, sometimes nagulat ka, teka, hindi ko yata alam itong mga in-underline. Okay? Ang board exam questions po na underline, ito ay kasama sa analysis nyo, nag-underline kayo sa board exam. So, supply pipe, from, distributing main, to primary branch. Ano ba itong mga words na to? They're technical words that we use and taken from the National Plumbing Code of the Philippines. Minsan kasi, kailangan mo na mga contextual clues na ganito and they're technical words para ma-hit mo yung tamang answer, yung catch. So, binibigyan ka binibigyan ka ng clue. Kaya dapat mahuli mo na ito yung tatlong clue. Supply pipe, distributing main, primary branch. Okay. So, tingnan natin ito illustration na to. If you look at this illustration, mapapansin nyo na ang illustration na to shows that there is a road. Okay? From the road, center line is a main sewer. Doon siya nakapwesto. Sa gilid, near gutter, near curb, is the main water line. Yan. Yung main water line na yan is known as the distribution main. So, main water line is the distribution main. Ngayon, papasok sa loob ng property mo. Pagpasok, that's the time that we say tap from a source, tap from MWSS, tap from main water line, main water supply, etc. So, nakikita niyo tapping point sa intersection na yan with an arrow papasok. So, yung arrow na papasok, yung linyang yun, that very short line represents the service pipe, which is also the supply pipe. Kasi supply, magsusupply sa atin. So, supply pipe yun. So, now you have two words there na nanggaling sa situation natin. The distributing main and the supply pipe. So, tinatanong, what is the size of the supply pipe? It goes to say na pag ang supply pipe mo ay may ganitong diameter, itutuloy niya sa primary branch. So, magkapareho ang diameter ng supply pipe sa primary branch. Ano naman yung primary branch natin? Sa premise natin, tinatawag mo din siyang distributing main kasi siya pinakamalaki, siya yung puno. So, ngayon mag-branch out yan. Saan pupunta? Sa mga may pangangailangan ng tubig. And therefore, in this illustration, you see that from the distribution main, it went to the supply pipe. The supply pipe goes to the primary branch. Nasa loob na tayo ng property, which is placed alongside perimeter fence. Papansin nyo yan. And then from that distributing main or primary branch, nagkaroon ng secondary branch. Yung mga secondary branches, yung isa papunta limbawa sa hose feed na nasa carport, yung isa na secondary branch papunta sa yung kitchen, yung isang secondary branch going to the common toilet and bath, at yung isa para sa laundry. So these are branches, and they are known to be secondary branches. Pero saan nanggaling ang secondary branch? Sa primary branch, yung pinakapuno sa loob ng property natin, which is also known as distributing main. So, ngayon, hindi mo tinatawag yung secondary branch sa supply pipe. Ang supply pipe is the service pipe. So, dito tayo sa labas. Kaya, pag tinignan mo yung question, what is the size of the supply pipe coming from the distribution main going to the primary branch? So, naintindihan nyo na ngayon. Kaya, may I repeat, yung size ng supply pipe is the same as the primary branch. And from the primary branch, yan yung pupunta sa mga branches. Kung ito ay 2 inches, it goes to say, naliliit ng diameter ng secondary branch para konting silip ang mangyari. So, next to that is, ito na po yung answer. So, if we really look at the 50 mm, hindi yan eksaktuhan sa 2 inches. Ang talagang 50 mm is 1.9685. But of course, nominal, anong big sabihin ng nominal? Commercially available is the 2 inches. So, pinagpapalagay natin ng 50 mm is equivalent to 2 inches diameter. So, ito yung pipiliin natin for that particular question. Okay? So, this is the supply pipe, 2 inches, coming from the distribution main, which is the MWL or main water line, going to the primary branch, which is yung puno natin sa loob ng property. Okay? Now, to give you more illustration, magandang sabihin na merong tayong water reservoir. Di ba? Water reservoir. Ibig sabihin MWSS. Tapos pupunta yan sa mga malalaking diameter ng mga pipelines. Tapos pupunta yan sa iba't ibang communities. So paliit ng paliit ng paliit. Pero yung nasa labas ay main water line. At yung main water line na to ay papasok sa bahay-bahay. So yung main water line ay distribution na. Siya na mismo, magdi-distribute na siya sa bahay. Kaya distributing main. And then supply pipe kailangan natin para pumasok. So that's the answer. It's 50 mm, which is 1.9685 or equivalent to the nominal inches setting niya na 2 inches. Clear? Now here, of course, this is taken from the National Plumbing Code of the Philippines Rule 8. Bakit? Hindi ba? Sabi dito, minimum. Okay, alam natin may size na minimum ang toilet and bath natin. And what would be that? Diba? Alala nyo, with a list dimension of 0.19 nabanggit. Sino gagamit ito? Yung minimum size of the toilet and bath for this family? Well, pwede natin sabihin na at 1.2, hindi ito convenient or comfortable for the mismong pamilya. So yung 1.2 na to is a very basic toilet and bath with the presence of water closet. Wala na siyang lavatory pero may area siya for shower or meron siyang area para sa gripo para halimbawa lagyan mo siya ng timba. Kung wala mang shower, timba tayo. So para kay kasambahay yung size na to. So we expect that this is a 1 meter by 1.2, which is 1.2 square meters with a list dimension of 0.90, considering na may thickness ang walls mo, and the tiles on the width is halimbawa 0.30, 0.30, 0.30. Pasok sa 0.90, walang retaso, walang tapon na tiles. And then pagdating sa 1.20, apat na tiles. So, 0.30, 0.30, 0.30, 0.30. So, nagiging 0.90 by 1.20 clear. So, yun yung essence na tinatawag natin na 1.2 square meters with a list dimension of 0.90. Is that clear? So, alam niyo na answer dito. Therefore, the answer is, the minimum size is 1.20 square meters. Okay? Clear. Next, which is not installed underground. Very obvious naman tong question na to. So if you look at the choices, ang septic tank mo may alsado ng konti sa taas sa finished grade line. Kasi ito yung nandito yung manhole. Okay? Ang cistern mo ay nasa loob ng pump room at nandun yung reservoir mo ng water supply. Okay, cistern. So nasa siya. Nasa ilalim din. Septic tank nasa ilalim. Ang iyong manhole, cover lang yan, pero ang sinaserve niya ay palalim. Okay, so nakikita nyo na A, B, and C are all underground installed. And the only one not installed underground is of course nasa tagiliran niya ng ating bahay sa wall, exterior wall. Nandun nakalagay yan. Bawat isa niyan may nakaabang na nakabaon, which is the catch basin. Pero ito hindi nakabaon. Nandun siya sa exterior. Minsan tinatambulan kung ayaw mo nang kapangitan na nakikita yung downspout sa exterior. Therefore, manhole is the answer here. Which is again, placed alongside your building wall, exterior at that. So the answer is letter C. Okay, that's a downspout. Sabihan ko lang kayo ng discussion dito. Nakita nyo, so from the roof, pumunta sa gutter, nagpunta sa rain leader, yung diagonal sa rain leader, the vertical part is known as the downspout. And instead of using a catch basin, gumawa siya ng tinatawag na sustainable design, which is, in-extend niya ngayon yung ating storm drainage pipe with a perforated pipe na pwede siya ngayon magbigay ng tubig sa halaman or para, ang purpose kasi, away from the foundation para hindi magkaroon ng pagsira ang pundasyon. Kasi ang catch basin minsan hindi ba nag-overflow. So, alam niyo naman ang tubig doon, acid rain. Pagka ganyan, medyo baka maging detrimental ang epekto niya, deterioration of the concrete, deterioration of the reinforcing bars within your perimeter wall or perimeter building line. So, ito po ang ginagawa ng mga iba para hindi laging nandoon sa gilid lang. Okay? So, it's up to you kung gusto mong i-adapt to, pero sinasabi ko lang dito, may nangyayari mga ganito. So, again, you can see the downspout, which is placed alongside the exterior building line, and it is not underground. Okay, next. So, there is a situation again, another situation in a townhouse development project. Sino bang in charge? Okay, remember that if you have your building permit, meron kang boxes doon na pinipirmahan, nakalagay professional in charge of design and professional in charge of installation. So in a way, yung arkitekto, sometimes the architect in charge of this design is also the one in charge of the installation. Meaning pag pumirma ka nun sa box and you are on call, kahit anong ginagawa mo, you are on call. Okay? You took that responsibility, so you are to supervise. Hindi mo iaasa yan sa mga galamay mo. Ay, ikaw na lang mag-check, kaibigang master plumber, ikaw na lang mag-check, kaibigang civil engineer. No. Because ikaw yung kausap ng client ikaw yung tumata yung overall in charge. So ikaw lagi tinatawag nila na PIC or professional in charge. But, in this situation, nakita nyo so wala naman choice na architect mamay, so be it. Bakit? Pwede ito isang plumbing project lang, not really involving an architect. So nakita nyo dito, in charge of roughing in, hindi siya yung mismong taga-installer, in charge, kasi ang nagra-roughing in, or yung talagang installer, is what we call the tubero. Ano bang English ng tubero? Journeyman. Journeyman is different from an RMP or registered master plumber. Ang registered master plumber is a professional, taga-supervise po siya. Okay? So being the supervisory person there, siya yung in charge of roughing in. So, here, the answer would be letter B. Okay? Now, check mo yung plumbing permit form mo, meron doon pinipirmahan. So, if you are the one that will sign as a registered master plumber, you will be the one in charge of supervision for the installation. Clear? Okay, PIC yan. Now, next to that is, ito, diba? Who is in charge of plotting points and staking at the site? Isa sa mga critical sa mga construction is pag magbubuhos na sila. Pag ito na structural. So, ibig ba sabihin, asa ka kay civil engineer mo? Hindi ikaw yan. Ikaw ang taga-tingin. Kaya, may schedule yan. So, hindi ka naman bibiglain. Kaya lang minsan may mga biglaan kasi may aberya, kaya on call ka. Pero syempre naka-schedule naman to. Kaya may sinusunod kayo ng tinatawag na scheduling para hindi na-delay ang construction. But pag mga critical na parting ganito, you are required to be there para malag nila. Nandito po si architect during the time ng pagbubuhos namin. Na-supervise niya po, nakita niya, so log in kayo. The logbook is a diary of an everyday happening or an accomplishment per day. So, bilang ikaw yung pinaka-overall, sino ang in charge ng plotting? So, hindi mo asa kay foreman kasi tatanungin ka rin yan. Hindi rin pwede si engineer mo. Okay? Ikaw ang overall project coordinator ng project mo. And therefore, you're the one in charge. Okay? So, the answer here is, of course, the architect. So checking your building permit form, remember what I said, you are the PIC in charge of design and PIC in charge of installation. Here. Next po. Okay, another, still in the townhouse development, which is an illegal thing to do. Illegal. So ngayon, nakakalusot yung ganyan kasi wala namang nag-check. Pero alam niyo po ba na hindi po pwede na direkta kayo hihigop ng tubig from a main water line source using your booster pump. Hindi po tama. Ano yung consequences nun? Ang consequences nun ay, syempre, yung mga kapitbahay mo, pwedeng mawalan sila ng water supply kasi nahugot ng system mo O kaya meron mga iba, humihina ang pressure nila. So, hindi po tama na mag-install ka ng booster pump getting water directly from the water main. Okay? Dapat, meron ka munang letter B or letter C. Tingnan niyo po ang letter B. Letter B, tap directly from water main, then directly to the fixture units. Aba, good to kasi for individual townhouse units, nakakuha ng water supply from the main water source. Hindi nila kinailangan ng pump, malakas ang pressure. So, be it. Okay, pinakamaganda to. Ito inaasam-asam natin. But then, kung medyo lumalaban ang pressure, then that particular townhouse development would have, sabihin na natin, cistern. Para sa lahat na to. Hindi yung individual. Kasi, lulugaran mo to townhouse, wala kang lugar. So, meron talagang lugar para sa ganyan. And there, you will place the pump room. So, yung pump room na to, okay, pagkalimbawa, nilagay mo na sa isang, sabihin na natin, utility room. Doon mo makikita na meron kang cistern and on top of the cistern, kasi underground siya, are the pumps that will supply water for the individual townhouse. So B and C are more likely to be legal, diba? And A is the illegal. Just to give you an idea and principle. Okay, yun muna. So booster pump, directly getting water is illegal. And these are the ways that we can get water legally. Okay, so the first illustration yung nakita nyo, this is direct upfeed. Ito yung sinasabi natin, 60 PSI, pumasok sa bahay mo. So from the main water line, directly going to the property, okay? And then, mapapansin nyo na may tatlo ditong arrow pataas. Yung tatlong arrow represents, diba, toilet and bath. Yung toilet and bath nyo, diba, meron kayong lavatory, water closet, shower. So, supply niya direkta. Now, nakita nyo, direkta ang feed at paakyat. So, tinatawag natin direct up feed. Clear? And then, pagdating sa second illustration, meron pa rin main water line, pero sabihin na natin, lumalaban ng pressure, so ipon ka muna sa cistern. Pag naipunan mo na yung cistern, pwede mo nang ipump. So pag pump mo, pumupunta yan sa toilet and bath, sa lavatory, sa water closet, sa shower. At ang napansin nyo rito, hindi humugot ng tubig direkta from the main water line, kundi may pondo ka muna. Okay? So, pagdating naman sa third, okay, so balik ako sa second. So, dahil nagkaroon ka ng cistern at dahil nagkaroon ka ng pump, tinatawag mo na ngayon to na indirect, hindi na direct. Gumamit ka na ng elements, the pump and the cistern, so we call it indirect feedback pa rin yung tubig. Now, pagdating sa third, still getting water from a source. And then, inipon mo sa cistern. Pag ipon mo sa cistern, pinump mo siya paakyat sa isang elevated water tank. Bakit mo pa ginamitan ng elevated water tank? Well, let's go back to the second. Pag ang second, naubos yung laman ng cistern, aandar ang pump, kuryente yan. So, tuloy-tuloy gamit mo ng kuryente kasi naubusan ng laman yung cistern. So, ipon, pump, ipon, pump. So, medyo magastos sa kuryente. Now, dito, nag-ipon ka, yung inipon mo, so transfer mo lang sa taas, one-time usage of pump. So, ngayon yung pondo mo nasa elevated water tank na. So, hindi gumagana ngayon yung iyong kuryente through that pump. One time lang. And therefore, doon ka asa ngayon sa elevated water tank. Meron ka na ngayong water supply. So, bababa ngayon yung tubig at isusupply niya sa mga lavatory, water closet, shower na iba't ibang bahay or townhouse unit. And then makikita mo ngayon na pababa means that it is downfeed. Pagkakakuha mo ng tubig, although umakyat nga, pero ang pag-supply mo naman downfeed. So ang tawag natin ngayon dito, indirect downfeed. Therefore, if you look at letter B dun sa choice natin, that would be illustration 1. And if you look at letter C, it can be both the illustration 2 and illustration 3. So these are very legal means to get. Clear? Okay. Another, where would you place a PVC pipe? Sabihin na natin itong PVC pipe na to yung ating distribution main or yung ating primary branch. Now, inilagay mo siya sa sector na to. Nasa perimeter fence. Kita mo, nilayo mo nga sa sa mismong landscape area mo. Kasi, nandun alongside perimeter fence. Kasi, minsan may tendency tayo mag-landscape, maglagay ng puno. Ano magkakaroon? Yung puno, ugat. Yung mga ugat na yan, lalaki yan. Tapos nun, maghahanap yan ng anchorage. At isa sa maging anchor niya ay yung pipe mo. Ang gagawin niya is, i-pressure niya, pwede niyang paputukin, at pwede magkaroon ng severe root intrusion sa loob mismo ng pipe mo. So, pagka ganyan, as much as possible, huwag tayong naglalagay ng puno kung meron tayong pipelines dun sa ilalim ng lupa. So, what's the answer? The answer is, of course, underneath the tree. So, ang explanation niyan, severe root intrusion and pipes that are structurally damaged will require replacement. Katulad ng illustration na ito, nakita niyo. Oh. Okay? Pumasok na yung ugat kasi naghahanap yung ugat ng moisture ng masisipsip niyang tubig. And aligned to that, yun na yung tinatawag natin repetitive. So, where would you please place a PVC pipe is related to the question, where would you locate water distribution pipe farthest from? Eh di wag mong ilapit sa mga puno kasi yun nga ang nangyayari. Okay? Clear? So, that would be number 4 and number 5. Underneath the tree, wala pong choice yung number 5 pero large trees pa rin yung answer dyan. Okay, still in the townhouse development. Napakasimple di ba? Alam mo na kagad pag nakita mo pa rin yung term na filament. Ano pinag-uusapan natin dito? Okay, so, knowing the answer to be incandescent, look at the illustration siya may filament. That's the most important part. Yan yung pinaka-nerve or pinaka-buhay, pinaka-characteristic ng filament. Pag sinabi mong filament, incandescent kagad naisip mo. Pagka sinabi mong fluorescent, ano? Okay, hindi ba ang fluorescent is known for its cathode? Okay, fluorescent is cathode, incandescent is filament. Okay? Although ang LED meron din siyang cathode. So, mas binibigyan siya ng term na phenolic. Okay, incandescent again has the filament and fluorescent has the cathode. So, our answer here is incandescent. Okay, another situation. This time, you were tasked to design a call center office. The manager specifically told you that he wanted to keep a close watch on his staff supervision. Diba? So, siyempre, bawat call center agent would have his or her own cubicle. Tinatawag natin na modular cubicles. So, modular cubicles are installed in the office. How many outlets per cubicle would you recommend if the office uses UPS or uninterruptible power supply? Ganito lang po ang prinsipyo dyan. Natutuhan natin yan sa Philippine Electrical Code. Natutuhan natin na sa rule of thumb. Bigyan natin muna yung rule of thumb. Okay. It is known as a rule of thumb na per area of 3 meters by 3 meters. If we have to place simple lighting outlet lang. Simple lang naman. Umi-X tayo, ipinupunta natin sa gitna isang ceiling-mounted lighting outlet. Okay? But of course, pag lumalaki yung area, hindi lang isang lighting outlet na ang required natin. But we still use the principle of the centrality. So, halimbawa, dalawang ganito, dalawang ganyan. Ang ilaw mo na ngayon, lighting outlet mo, dalawang 3x3. So, it goes to say that the lighting outlet would be dependent on the area. Pero pagka halimbawa, binigyan mo rin ako ng area na 3 meters by 3 meters, it is to say, rule of thumb, na kailangan may dalawa ako na convenience outlet. So, let's be specific about the convenience outlet. Normal ang convenience outlet na nakikita nyo na standard would be the duplex convenience outlet, 2 plugging in the plates. Pag bumili ka, hindi ka nagsasabi, pabili nga ng dalawang convenience outlet. Kasi, ang isip kagad ng supplies, dalawang platong binibili mo. Okay? So, be specific, isang plato ng duplex convenience outlet. So, here in this illustration, you have dalawa. Okay? Which relates to 1 plate. Cubicle to. So, kontento na siya doon, hindi ba? Dalawa. But then, kung titingnan mo ang severity ng need ng plugging, lalo na yung mga paano na dami natin sinarcharge. Okay, di ba may UPS siya? Di ba meron siyang auto voltage regulator para constant yung dating ng EMF sa kanyang computer. So, gumamit na ng isang plato. Di ba nag-charge ka pa na sarili mo personal, yung cellphone? O di ba may printer dito or scanner na kailangan sa mga call center? So, you can see right away na 4 ang gagamitin mong plugging and constitutes dalawang plato ng duplex convenience outlet. So, yung tinanong dito, plato to, hindi to yung plug points. Okay? Kaya we buy by the plates. We do not buy by the plugging points. And therefore, having this principle of 1 lighting outlet and 2 duplex convenience outlet per area of a 3 meter by 3 meter. So the answer would be, ang gagamitin natin ay dalawang plato. So, in advance ko lang kayo kasi nga, look, here, how many outlets per cubicle? So, outlets, ayan doon po yan ha. So, answer dito, sorry, hindi ko nailagay. Pero balik lang tayo, letter what? Letter D, 2 plates. Okay, 2 plates, 4 plugging points. Okay, 2 duplex convenience outlet. Duplex convenience outlet, dalawa, 4 plugging points, so 2 plates tayo. Okay, clear? Now, the second situation is what type of wall for the cubicles would you recommend? Take into consideration acoustics and manager's instruction for visual acuity. So, dalawang considerations dito. Consider acoustics and consider visual acuity. So, it goes to say that your answer here is, of course, low wall modular partition with glass strips at the middle. Once nagkaroon ka ng cubicle, hindi po to floor to ceiling. So normally, 1.5 ang height niyan, which is around 5 feet. It is known as a partial height barrier. The word barrier constitutes also not only a division but also a barrier for acoustics. So tinatawag natin siya acoustics barrier. So ngayon, paano na siya nakatulong sa sound absorptivity? Okay, may illustration tayo. Pero yung visual acuity is of course because of the presence of that glass string. Even if nakaupo si manager, kitang-kita niya yung kanyang subordinates. No need for him to go to stand up from his office, tingnan, i-supervise. Now, so this is an example of the modular cubicles. Nakikita yung kulay green nasa panel. The green sometimes ang nilalagay niyan is, alam mo ba, nakakita na ba kayo ng parang cloth? So, minsan ginagawang tackboard. So, yung pagkakaroon ng cloth, yung cloth na yan is of course, meron siyang absorptivity. So, that is now your barrier. And then, nakita nyo rin na because of the glass, ano ba nangyayari? Would there be transmission from one cubicle to the other? Well, yes, airborne, kasi tingnan nyo, open. Pero malilesen yung malakas na sound because you have two settings for your acoustics. One, the green which can absorb. Sabihin na natin, malakas ang boses ng call center agent, absorb nun, ng kulay green. At the same time, because of the glass, merong konting transmission lang yan, pero most of the time, reflective siya pabalik sa'yo. Kahit may nakawala, mas marami ang magbabounce back sa'yo. So you have both the presence of a barrier which is absorptive and reflective. And at the same time, you have the glass for visual acuity. So win-win situation, yung mga ganitong klase. Okay? Clear? Now, next here is what type of device will you use to amplify the Wi-Fi connection coming from the main server. There is this word which is a contextual clue again. Ano po yun? Amplify. Amplify means palakasin mo. Okay, palakasin mo yung Wi-Fi connection. So ano magpapalakas niyan? Okay, which among the selection would you think would amplify? Okay, so it means na hindi ba, may mga pagkakataon ng mga face-to-face pa tayo or sabihin na natin, may mga blind spots pag naglalagay ka ng router. Diba? The farther you are from a router, which is the source, medyo humihina signal mo. So, yung router ang tagabigay ng mas malakas na signal, which is the amplification. Okay? So, with that, the answer is router. Router can also be interchanged with the term modem. But router is the more technical word. Modem is the equipment. Router is the system. So, niraroute mo, nirurut mo. Router, root, mga ganyan. So, in this illustration, nakikita nyo, ang ginamit na term is modem. But the modem, in the other illustration, is also the router. Modem is router, router is modem. So, ang gagamitin natin dito, router. And again, the contextual clue is amplify. Okay, next. So, letter C ang answer natin dun, ha? Okay. Ay, number 3 pala router. Pero ganun din eh. Number 4 is not corrected. Kasi number 4 is just another sentence construction. But still, kita mo yung contextual clues. What is needed to amplify the data from the computer server when the computers are far from it? It's a router. Okay. So, tingnan palagi. Kung baga keywording na to. Keyword ng router, amplify. So, alam ko na. And then here, which device forwards data packets between computer networks? On the internet, it performs traffic directing functions. So, ano kaya to? Now, ang mahalaga dito traffic directing. So, may mga blind spot. Katulad sinabi ko kanina. Forwards data packets. So, what's your answer here? Okay, let's do. Taken directly from a definition, a router is a networking device that forwards data packets between computer networks. Routers perform the traffic directing functions on the internet. It's taken from Google search. So, the answer is still router. Okay, next. What will you install if the manager wants a local connection as well as an outside line? Maraming nagkakamali dito. But if you look at the contextual clues of local connection and outside line, isipin nyo nga telepono to. Bakit? Kasi hindi ba sa telepono may outside line, dial 9. Pagka local naman, may pipindutin ka na isang button. So, hindi mo na ipipindot pa yung lahat ng number. Local na. O kaya pagka halimbawa, tatawag ka sa isang office. Minsan, you hear computer-generated na voice. Sinasabi, if you know the local of the person you're dialing, dial now, otherwise press 1. Mga ganyan. So, that's the local connection. Diba? May mga telepono, ito yung number. Local niya ito So, local connection. Outside line is when you dial 9. So, alam niyo na that this is the work of what? Okay? There. So, ang contextual clues natin, local connection and outside line, the work of a PABX. What is a PABX? Ayan na po yan. So, it's a private automatic branch exchange. Private telephone exchange located at the subscriber connected to the telephone network. Okay? So, looking at this illustration, number 7 na tayo, study about PABX. This is a big cabinet containing what we call mga jacks. Patch panels ang tawag doon. So, yung mga jacks, the more jacks that you have, the more patch panels you have, the more telephony or landline telephony. So, you are computer-directed na. Kasi nga, hindi na yung mga dati nung unang panahon, may mga telephone operator. Of course, meron pa rin naman yun. Kaya nga, kita nyo, yan ang dating ng call center. Yan ang nagbago sa atin. Minsan, gusto mong contact sa tao talaga kasi meron kang personal concern. And then, lagi sasabihin, press 1, ganito, ganyan, etc. These are all words of PABX. And then, yun nga lang, pag nakit mo talaga yung mismong call center agent, okay, because you dialed 0 is local, well, of course, meron pa rin mga intervention ng humans kasi may mga individual problems that need to be addressed by humans and redirected. Okay, so kita nyo to, malaking cabinet to. So, meron tayong tinatawag na PABX room. Okay? So, yan po yan. Kaya, ano ba nagagawa ng PABX? O, daming telepono na serve niya, so napapabilis ang pagdadial. At the same time, meron siya mga annunciator, nakikita yung kulay red. So, these are all works of the PABX. Okay? Next. O, kasasabi ko lang, patch panels nasa loob nito ha. Ayun, yung kulay itim na nakikita niyo sa loob ng cabinet. These are known to be the patch panels inside PABX. Marami siyang pangalan. Patch bay, patch field, or jack field is a device or unit featuring number of jacks, usually the same or similar type, for the use of connecting and routing circuits, for monitoring, interconnecting, and testing circuits in a convenient, flexible manner. So, ano nawala rito? Nawala yung manpower. Nawala yung nawala pa nun pagkatatawag ka. Yung operator or telephone operator maglalagay, mag-plug. Ito, may jack na. So, naka-plug na siya talaga. Okay? Next. What is the primary problem installing PABX in an existing room? Sa laki ng bulto niya, you need to have a space for that. Okay? Hindi ito yung tipong afterthought na, ay, kung nga, kailangan natin kasi sisiksik ko lang kung saan siya. Kailangan, malapit siya sa server kasi yung traffic directing nandun pa rin. So, the answer would be, lulugaran mo to. Kaya dapat meron kang space for new installation. Next. Disadvantage daw ng PABX. Kasasabi ko pa rin, kung di magandang kinalugaran niya, kung naipunta niyo sa dead spot, hindi maganda yung orientation, pwede tayong maka-experience ng mga choppy, ng mga reception, or intermittent signal na sinasabi. Okay, putol-putol, intermittent, yun ang ibig sabihin. Therefore, the answer there is letter B. So, why is it necessary to plan the data connection cables? Kasi nga po, kung naiplano mo kung tama ang location ng mga PABX, therefore, ano ang purpose mo? Even the router, for that matter, not only the PABX. So, the answer is letter C, to optimize data transfer speed. Hindi naman gusto natin mapabilis yung internet connection natin, mapabilis yung ating pag-call. So, you have to plan for the data connection cables. Okay. Next, another situation on this one. Okay, data sharing. Paano na magkaroon ng data sharing? O yan na, contextual clue ulit yan, data shared. Basta nakikita nyo, data shared, data shared, data shared. Isa na pupuntahan yan. Isa amplify, amplify, amplify. Ito naman data shared, data shared, data shared. Okay, so, the answer is, alamin na. Okay, tama kayo doon. May tama ka, diba? So, LAN. LAN is Local Area Network. Okay, computer network that connects computers and devices in a limited geographical area, home, school, computer, laboratory, office. So, LANs, in contrast to wide area networks, include their usually higher data transfer rates. So, LAN ang gamit. Okay, alamin na ha. Ano contextual clues? Data shared. Okay, so also known as a BTU, this device converts data so it can be transmitted from computer to computer. Okay, ano answer natin? Transmitted from computer to computer. Okay, so di transmitted eh. Sinishare mo. So, yan ulit. A local area network share a common communication line or wireless link. Here. So, typically LAN encompasses computers peripherals. So, yun nakita niyo yung term, share. So, transmitted, shared. Okay? Kailangan lang i-analyze nyo. Hindi mahirap ang exam ng utilities. Kaya lang, konting critical thinking kasi gusto niyang i-practical ka. Gusto niyang hindi ka natatapos sa technical words. Gusto niyang i-absorb mo, internalize mo itong mga words na to. Okay. Next, what type of device should be installed for surveillance? O, alam niyo na internal surveillance. Pagka surveillance agad, ang alam niyo na security. Okay, security. Paano ma-secure ang building mo? Anong ginagamit natin? Diba? So, alam niyo na yung answer dyan, which is, ano to mga to nakikita ninyo, iba't ibang klase, iba't ibang uri. Meron yung mga HDMI type, meron yung bilugan, yung mga analog, meron yung mga globe eyes na tinatawag. So, alam niyo that these are all elements of what we call closed circuit television or CCTV for security or for surveillance. Okay, so sabi, study the function of CCTV. Okay, also known as video surveillance, cameras to transmit a signal to a specific place upon a limited set of models. So, syempre, may nagsusupervise. Yan yun, may tagatingin. Kaya pagka ba may ongoing na crime or ongoing na lang yun na minsan, may mga nagsha-shoplift, akala nila hindi sila nakikita, pero nakakahiya talaga sa totoo lang. Yung hindi mo nalalaman, may nakatingin sa'yo. So, be very aware that for every business establishment, marami, hindi lang isang ini-install na CCTV. Yung mga tinatawag natin na strategic position, lalo na sa mga convenience store, may mga CCTV yan. Okay, so what should be installed in the store so that they can display their products 24 hours without compromising security? Kasasabi ko na ng convenience store, which is running 24 hours. And isa sa mga laging nananakawan, kasi nga the proximity of the cashier to the main entry point would be that of a convenience store. Kaya ang convenience store lagi naglalagay ng CCTV. Okay, napapansin nyo di ba sa mga movies, ang ninanakaw yung mismong cartridge. Ewan ko kung cartridge pa yun or CD or whatsoever. But of course, nagsimula sa cartridge sa kanilang tinatawag na TV monitor. But, tingnan nyo, nagdagay ako ng secondary dito. For psychological purposes, takot din ang mga magnanakaw sa tunog. So, kung visual si CCTV, ang burglar, alam mo, is audible naman. So, being audible, yung ingay na yan na naproproduce niya can also be something na ikatatakot ng isang magnanakaw. But of course, the answer always would be CCTV. Okay, nakakatuwa naman to. Ewan ko na lang kung sasagutin yung letter A. Catholic Church Television. So, malaking kasyungahan na yan. So, syempre, kasasabi lang natin ng what is the abbreviation CCTV, what's the meaning of that? So, syempre, the answer would be letter B. Closed circuit television. Okay. A type of security device. Okay na naman. So, paulit-ulit na. CCTV. And then, another situation. So, sometimes papakitaan kayo plan reading. Plan reading can be your electrical fan, your water or cold water line. Sometimes the cold water line is placed with hot water line. Or sometimes sanitary. Sometimes papakitaan kayo ng isometric. So, here we have the illustration. Plan and isometric ang nangyari sa kanya. And of course, ang tanong niya, locate the angle bulb. So, we know that there are several bulbs involved in a building. So, one of those talagang alam na alam yun, nasa bungad kagad yan is the what? The gate bulb at kasama niya sino pa yung check bulb. Pero pag pumapasok na kayo sa loob ng bahay, may iba't ibang bulbs na involved. But of course, we all know that in this illustration alone, ano nasa ilalim ng isang water closet? Diba? That's a bulb involving an angle bulb. Ano nakikita niyo sa ilalim ng lavatory? There's a bulb known as the angle bulb. So if you're to locate the angle bulb, it's under a water closet and lavatory. Isama niyo yung kitchen. Okay, kasama rin. Kitchen. And then pagkalimbawa sa mga commercial establishment where there's a urinal, angle bulb din ang gamit nila. So looking at the location in this illustration, which is now number 2. Okay? By the way, yung kulay puti, the line to the faucet or the toilet tap is known as the flexible tubing. Okay, flexible tubing ang gamit ngayon dyan. So this is normally at 1/2 inch diameter. Yung mas maliit na mga version like copper tubing or brass tubing would be the 3 or the 5 feet. So yan, ulit lang natin yung illustration na identify the angle bulb, sabi ganun. You can see right away dito sa ating plan and supported by the isometric, nakikita yung WC. So obvious yung Y na nakikita nyo, which is also Y din dun sa laboratory. So location Y, yung angle bulb. Now, in our multiple choice, we have Y at letter B. So BY, yung answer natin dito. Okay? Next. Okay, from the figure below, where is pipe X located? Alam natin, sa word na roughing in, may mga pipes na nasa wall, embedded sa wall, minsan nasa kisame, minsan under the floor. So since you are looking at the isometric, at kitang-kita nyo naman na nasa ilalim to, so the answer, X would be letter A, embedded under the ground. Next, where's the highest pressure? So this is a principle. Ano yung principle? The higher yung equipment mo from the source, medyo naghihina, like shower. Okay, ang shower. So, dimbawa, simultaneously, nagbukas ka ng iyong lavatory faucet. and nandun yung water closet, at ito yung shower mo. Sabihin mo na lang na naliligo ka, tapos nag-flush ka, nakita yung hugot niya kasi mas mataas siya. So, mas napagbibigay yung mas pababa. Okay? So, mas mababa ka, mas malakas ang pressure doon. So, ano pinakamababa dito? Halimbawa, from the supply pipe going to the primary branch or tinatawag natin distribution main ng ating bahay. Nasa ilalim yan na ng lupa. Therefore, mas malalakasan ang pressure doon bago ma-distribute sa mga secondary branches. So, what's your answer? Okay? Letter B, underground. Now, what fitting is used when there's a change in direction? Repetitive na naman to. Kasi siya yung ganito. 90 degrees staggered or 1/4 bend. Alam mo na yung fitting na to will always change the direction from this to this. Okay, at right angle. Ano nag-change na direction? That fitting. And what is that fitting? So, be sensitive also. Baka naman halimbawa, meron nakalagay, letter A, elbow, letter A, 1/8 elbow, mga ganyan. Letter C, 1/4. So, para lang specs yan, hindi ka bigla-biglang nagsasabi lang ng elbow. Kailangan merong specification. And therefore, the answer would be, ayan, 90-degree elbow. Kung ayaw na 90-degree elbow, 90-degree elbow is also known as the 1/4 bend. Okay? So, do not interchange 90-degree bend or 1/4 elbow. Hindi po. Ang specific na term is 90-degree elbow or 1/4 bend. Okay? As illustrated, nakikita nyo, these are short sweep. Bakit siya short sweep? Kasi tubig mo mabilisan ang change ng direction. Hindi siya long sweep. Ang long sweep ay kung may laman. Kung meron mga solid. Here, so short sweep to. So, another situation, in a convenience store, questions regarding air conditioning system, we all know that ang convenience store, hindi nagagamit ng window air conditioning unit, magastos yun. Mas efficient pag gumagamit ng mas malalaking equipment. And we are already talking of, normally, the split type. So, meron tayong split type na 1:1, 1 unit outside, 1 unit inside. Meron tayong tinatawag na multi-split. Yung multi-split is acting like a mini centralized, pero isang malaking bulto siya sa labas ng iyong building. At marami siyang sinaserve na areas sa loob. So, we call it multi-split. Okay? It mimics the function of a centralized air conditioning without the presence of a mechanical room. Kasi once nag-centralized air conditioning ka, lagi kang may mechanical room. Okay? So, pagka ganyan, meron siyang term. Halimbawa, if you talk of the typical window air conditioning unit, you use the unit H3 horsepower. Pagka tumataas na yung caliber, ginagamit mo na yung term na TR or tons of refrigeration tonners na. Okay, tonners. So, pagka ganyang tonners na pinag-uusapan, ayan na. Papasok na yung ating split type. And tonners is also used sa mga centralized. Okay, so, tanong na ngayon, how many tonners will you use? Several choices are given. The required is 12 to 13 tons based on computations. Now, who computes this? The mechanical engineer, professional mechanical engineer. So, i-specify niya sa atin, ito ang bibilin mo architect. Okay, ito yung dapat. So, dapat mag-fair dun sa ating 12 to 13. Okay, magsuma sa 12 to 13. So, if you use letter A, kulang ang isang 10 tonner kasi 12 to 13 ang kailangan mo. Letter C, ano to? So, do the math. 2 na 3 tonner, 2 times 3. 6 plus 4 na tonner. Di tanda. So, kapos pa rin. Kaya kung pumunta tayo sa letter B, 3 na 3 for 4 tonners. 3 times 4, 12. So, pasok. Okay? Kaya yun lang yun. Ang dami na nalilito dyan. Akala kung anong klaseng question yan. Multiplication lang naman. Doing a simple math. So, there. 3 times 4 is 12. Pasok sa ating 12 to 13 tons na requirement based on computation. Next. What will you provide in the entrance door to control air from coming in and out? Walang iniba yan sa ref. Pag bukas ka ng bukas sa ref mo, hindi niya na-achieve yung cooling niya. So, hindi papatay yung makina, takbo ng takbo. Pagkastos yun. So, limbawa ngayon, syempre, hindi natin mapigil. In and out, mabilis ang turnover sa mga convenience store. And therefore, hindi na protektahan yung naipon niya na cooling temperature, yung cooling comfort. So, para hindi lumabas, nilalagyan mo siya ng invisible shield. Kaya pagpasok ng tayo, di ba, nakakanginan yung ulo niya. So, yung curtain, na tinatawag natin invisible. Therefore, hindi lalabas yung damit, hindi rin on the one hand, papasok yung polluted air, or may langaw, or may lamok, or mga, sabihin na natin, mga particles. Okay? So, therefore, ito ang ginagawa ng isang, tawag yan, air curtain. So, yung air curtain natin, okay, works two ways. Kasi sa atin wala naman tayong winter. So sa mga bansa na may winter, it keeps the heating inside a particular room or particular establishment. Pero, kung titingnan natin sa Pilipinas, ito yon. Iba dust, fumes, insects, smoke, and yung heat. At the same time, retains the heat from the inside and does not allow heat to enter the premise. Okay? Next. Okay, so kita nyo, shield. Doon na kagad Kailangan pa ba natin basahin lahat to? Stream of compressed air. Downward, shield. Ganun na yun kung nagko-contextual clues ka na. So therefore, the answer is still air curtain. And where will you locate the air-cooled condensing unit of the convenience store? Dalawa yan, kaya nga split type, one inside, one outside. The inside is also known as the evaporator in a generic term, but if we go for the split type, it's known as the AHU, air handling unit. The outside is known to be the condenser, and in the terminology of split type, is known as the ACCU. So definitely, we will place this outside the store. Okay? Ayan. Tulad ito, 7-Eleven. Kasi, minsan, ang nakakatuwa, let's be, sensitive sa itsura. Kasi, di ba, when we look at the convenience store, puro glass siya. Bakit siya glass? Kasi, may tinitinda siya na gusto na makita from the outside. Kasi nakaka-engganyo is inviting when you see it from a glass. Kahit na hindi ka bibili, may engganyo pa. We are normally impulsive buyers na tinatawag. So that's the reason why yung concept is the aquarium concept. Kita from the outside. And then, sometimes bigla-bigla mo nilang nilagay ang isang napakalaking bulto ng ACCU sa harap, sa front ng store mo. Tapos nun, nawala yung visual acuity. So sayang, yung in-invest mo ng mga glass, kung natatakpan naman, na may rehas, na may pandak pa, hindi ba napapansin nyo? Mga ganon. Hindi man lang tinamo-flash ng architect, or you need it. Or in this illustration, makita nyo, meron siyang canopy, at yung canopy ay naging balkonahe ng Starbucks sa taas, at doon nilagay. So yung ACCU nasa taas, gumapong yung copper tubing papunta sa kisame, pababa doon sa convenience store, which is mas magandang installation niya. Okay? So, a little bit of discussion more when we talk the outdoor unit, that's the condensing unit. Okay? The condensing unit or air conditioning unit used to cool the house. CO works with the air handler, AHU, which is the indoor unit, to absorb the vaporized refrigerant that from the air conditioning refrigerant located inside the air handler. So, kung titingnan natin the illustration again, nasa loob ang AHU, nasa labas ang condensing unit. Here. So, iba kasi napagkakamalan yung AHU to the FCU. We'll go to the FCU later, pero please note that AHU inside, ACCU outside. Which is not needed in the set system. Niloko lang naman yung letter B. Now, hindi lahat ng split type ay nangangailangan ng FCU. Multi-split, pwede. Centralized, meron. Booster yan eh. Kumbaga sa booster pump. Pagka ba nagbigay ng cool air sa duct, at sa farthest point, medyo pupugak-pugak na or hilaw na, booster yung FCU. So FCU is an appurtenance of AHU. Okay? So, meaning, nakakatulong para maipalawig mo pa. Kaya nakikita niyo ba sa mga ducts? Ano nakikita niyo na scenario? Habang lumalayo ka from the source, paliit na paliit yung ducts para mag-increase yung pressure. Ngayon, di ba nakakita kayo ng bilog? Di ba yung may mga puncture na nakikita niyo sa mga supermarket na pare-pareho yung diameter? So, ang isa sa mga nagbo-boost yan para mapunta sa farthest point is an FCU or a fine coil unit. Okay, tagabuga ng damit. So, not needed here is because wala namang word na FHU. Okay, FCU meron, pero FHU kasi the ACC is outside, AHU is inside, and in between, nagkakaroon ng saturation point pag tulong aircon, ang aircon nagtutulo po. Okay, so there's this condensate pipe na sinasabi, that's the condenser drain pipe. Now, in this illustration, makikita natin that the outside unit, this is a 1:1 kasi pang bahay lang naman. The outside unit being the ACCU connected by a copper tubing to the inside part which is now the AHU. And then makikita nyo na meron siyang drain tube, that is the condensate pipe. So diyan nagtutulo. Okay, now another rule of thumb. Pagka 1:1, mas mainam sa illustration na nakapansin nyo rito that sa isang wall na lang nakamount yung dalawa, back to back. Why? Because there is this standing rule na pagka nilalayo mo the outside unit to the inside unit, yung copper tubing niya, okay, aside from humaba, aside from gumastos ka, hirap yung hangin na pupunta kasi malayo yung tinakak niya. Okay, so sa 1:1, pag gagamit ka pa ng FCU, hindi na dapat kasi nga nilapit mo na. So as much as possible, the maximum total developed length of the copper tubing is 3 meters. And para lalo kumikse yung copper tubing kasi mahal din ang copper tubing niya, so back to back arrangement niya sa 1:1. Okay? So now we go to another situation na home theater is to be renovated. Home theater, alam niyo naman magse-setup, so acoustically controlled. Now, home theater is, of course, may special treatment na. Kasi hindi lang nag-setup ka ng kwarto, tapos nilagyan mo ng iyong TV, meron ka mga speakers, may mga subwoofers ka, etc., may amplifier ka. The purpose of home theater is for you to have clarity. At saka yung, alam mo na yun, yung dagundong, yung dramatic effect ng sound. Pag nanonood ka ng horror or ng mga action, etc., minsan nga nagugulat ka, di ba? Nakikita mo visually, tapos nakirinig mo rito, mas malakas ang tunog dito ng tubig ulan. Mga tipong ganun pa. Kasi dinidistribute niya sa mga iba't ibang maliliit na speakers. And therefore, the need for acoustic treatment. At the same time, syempre kung malakas ang sound mo, ayaw mo namang magambala yung mga surrounding areas. But at the same time, kasi nagpa-vibrate yan. Okay? So there's a need na magkaroon ka talaga ng home theater room, an acoustic room for that matter. So it is obvious again in this choice, in the two choices, bakit ako gagamit ng CHB? CHB is a building material, but it is not known as an acoustic material. It has a hollow part, it can transmit. And of course, whenever we talk of gypsum, obviously alam na natin. So gypsum board on studs would be the answer here to minimize sound transmission kasi absorb niya. So this is an example, placed with a metal furring, and then alam niyo na nakaribet na ngayon. Hindi na katulad doon na ang daming tiles involved. Ngayon malalaki yung panels or acoustic panels na hindi na acoustic tiles ang ginagamit. So now with the metal furring, ayan na, nase-set up mo ng mabilisan, madali mo rin siyang baklasin. Okay, so the answer, gypsum board o 1 studs. Okay, wait lang po. What part of the wall will you cover? Okay, nagpaka-acoustic treatment ka. Isa sa mga na-overlook, there's a gap sa pintuan mo. Maliit na gap. Bakit hindi mo pwedeng sagal, hindi kumain yung pintuan mo? Pag kumakain na yan, nakakasira ng floor at the same time. Kaya ka nagkakaroon ng gap, there are 2 reasons for that. Kasi hindi pa nagkakaroon ng construction joint. Pag umiinit ang panon, lumalabig ang panon, nagkakaroon ng expansion and contraction ng ating mga building materials. Kaya nga problema yan sa panel door. Di mo malaman, kakatamin ko ba to kasi biglang mag-expand, hindi mag-fit. O pagkalimbawa na sobrahan mo naman yung katang, ayan, nagkaroon naman ng loose part. So, itong mga loose part na itong dinadaanan ng sound transmission and therefore should be filled in. So, kailangan mong lagyan siya ng cover. So, what would be the answer here? The answer is edges of the door. And how would you do that? Okay, yan, isa sa mga example. Ngayon, meron yung sinusuot eh. Yung talagang i-slide mo. Halimbawa, tingnan natin sa control. Okay. So, halimbawa, ito yung door. Perhaps nakikita nyo. Nakakita ko nito sa kwan eh. And then, rubber siya na ganyan. Na sinisilid. Ay, sorry po ah. Pasensya na po, tao lang. Dumi ko. So, ito yung rubber or silicone. Okay. So, it will also be the same principle with that of the illustration that we presented here. Okay, yung rubber loop. So, mako-complete ngayon yung acoustic treatment mo if you place such. It seals. So, hindi lalabas ang sound. Okay? What inexpensive yet effective wall treatment will you suggest? Alam po natin na gypsum board may kamahalan. And therefore, kung simple na bahay nilagyan mo nga ng mga gypsum medyo talagang mahal eh. Yung mga hardiplex compared sa plywood, isang mabigat. Saka pag hindi tama pagkakahandle mo ng hardiplex ay nabibiyak po siya. So, it must be handled carefully. Here, sa choices nyo, nakikita nyo yung answer and the answer is accurate. Okay? So, there is this one venue that we were using before sa JPT na parang siyang multi-purpose hall. And then, ito yung acoustic treatment niya. So nakikita nyo, nilagyan lang siya ng pintura na itim para hindi prominent na egg crate yung nilagyan ng button. So, ito yan, naka-display mismo, hindi siya tinago, hindi siya pinasok sa loob ng double-ply partition wall. Hindi siya naging palaman or pillar. Siya na mismo yung decor, kumbaga. Which is nakakatuwa because really it can absorb. So, tingnan nyo, innovative to. I must say na ang galing ng gumawa nito sa pagkakataong naisip niya yung ganyan. So, that would be the egg crate. Now, pag nilagay mo naman na egg crate as a filler, hindi yung isang karton lang. Siyempre, filler niya eh. So, the entirety of the hollow part, dapat saksakan mo ng egg crate para maging effective, para hindi magkaroon ng transmission, magkaroon ng sound absorptivity. Okay? Ayan, nakikita niyo yung mga studio, mga tinatawag natin na music studio or recording studio. At nakikita niyo yung kulay dilaw, yung dilaw tuloy blue. The egg crate foam, sinasabi nila. O yun yun. So, the more inexpensive way is yung talagang egg crate. Okay, as literal. Okay, another controversial. Maraming magsasabi, ba't hindi mang carpet ang nilagay? Okay, the catalyst here is a home. And for you to be placing carpet sa home, wow, high maintenance yan. Okay? So, would be better if you place the wood planks. So, sitwasyon to walang nagsasabi na mali ang carpet. It's just that you are situating the answer. And between the two, mas advantageous ang mag-work sa wood planks because less maintenance siya compared to the carpet tiles. Okay? Clear? Okay, I'll give you more discussions here. So, carpet tiles. The acoustic properties of wood. The important acoustical property of wood is its ability to damp vibration. Ano yung damp? Pagka may vibration, idadamp niya. Damp. Di ba, basang-basahan. Dinagay mo sa basa, dinadamp mo, di ba? So, ito, limbawa may sound, dinadamp niya. So, doon lang siya. Nakukuha ko, dinadamp niya. Kaya yung vibration na pupunta dito. Now, if there are sound from the wall, bababa yan pupunta sa floor mo. So, it's the dampening effect of wood that caters to that. Kaya, dampening or sound dampening ang tawag dito. And, ano pa, related to that is a question sa architecture design. If you place down a bedroom floor, ano raw ang recommendation ng architect? Bakit wood? On two counts. Una, because of acoustics. Pangalawa, remember that when there is sound energy in contact with the surface, diba? In contact with the surface, produce what heat? So, mainit na yung wood mo. Na kahit nakatapak ka sa wood, wala kang chinelas, mainit ang wood sa paa. Therefore, nakikita nyo, the sound energy now is converted to heat by frictional and viscoelastic resistance. So, win-win situation ka sa wood. Okay, because the high internal friction created by the cellular core network wood has more sound damping capacity than most structural materials. So, clear po tayo? Okay, may pagkakaroon carpet yung answer kung wala yung wood sa choices. Diba? Pero again, isa pa, tingnan natin sa ganito. I really need to explain this pa. Paano mo dinisin ang carpet sa bahay? Wall to wall. Okay, walis tumbo, walis ting-ting. Binangati ka na niya kasi mag-vacuum ulit ng dust. So, bili ka pa ng vacuum cleaner para dyan. Okay, paano maintenance yan in terms na halimbawa, may nabasa? Natapon mo limba yung coke mo dyan. Tapos na halimbawa, pagka hindi mo ginagamit yan, hindi ba nakukulog yung amoy, so nag-aamoy pa. Ang daming mga disadvantages. Once you do your choices, okay, do this, pros and cons, advantages, disadvantages. Huwag kang mag-decide basta-basta architect. Kailangan, i-weigh mo. Anong mas maging advantage ito? Mas marami ba siyang advantages kaysa sa disadvantage? Well, perhaps it's leading you to the correct answer. And therefore, that would be, in this situation, the wood planks. Okay? Oh, what type of door will you use? Of course, solid. So, bakit hindi flash? Naku, hindi ba? Yung mga ganyan halo nga so transmitted. Tapos PVC, nakita niyo na ba, di ba pumasok kayo sa isang toilet and bath? And hindi kayo nagbukas ng ilaw. Kita yung tagos ng ilaw sa PVC. So, ang panel solid. Kasi, dito mo masusubukan yung prinsipyo ng sound transmission class. Yung absorptivity ng solid na wood. So, further, tingnan nyo to. It has sound transmission class 39, mismong panel door So, nagbawa, ang sound mo from the home theater is running 80 decibel as from the source. Pumunta ngayon sa thickness, sa wood as material, sa area ng door. So, kukunin lahat ng door yung sound na yun. And then, i-absorb niya kalahati, 41 ang kanyang transmit. Which is, ang 41 kasi sa receiving room, kung sino man nakakadinig, is already not annoying. It is under the frequency or hearing range ng tao. Accepted niya. Okay? So, this is not a case of zeroing, i-absorb lahat nito. Kasi pag in-absorb lahat, ang tendency mo mas makakal. Okay? Pag kumapal ng door mo, mas mahirap siyang i-manage. Alam niyo na ibig sabihin. So, hindi anechoic ang labanan, hindi zeroing out. It's just decreasing it to half. And 41 is already a very good decibel, okay, in terms of hearing. Paliwanag mga sir, madam? Okay. So, very much the same as the previous situation. Bunso is watching cartoons inside the movie room, constructed with drywall partitions. May laban ka na sa drywall. So, drywall yan, absorptive yan, may konting transmission yan. Ate is studying at the room adjacent to the movie room. Will ate hear what Bunso is watching? Well, yes. Pero, kita nyo wag mo nang yes. Meron narinig, konti lang. So, may choice kayo. Ate will slightly hear the cartoons. And as we look at again, at this illustration, mapapansin nyo, 100, diba? Nanonood siya ng matinding labanan ni Bugs Bunny, saka sino pa yung nemesis ni Bugs Bunny. Tapos, nang dumaan sa wall na to, which is now the drywall. Kita nyo, halos kalahati na naman, 55. Ate will hear the 55 but will no longer be annoyed because 55 is under the hearing range. Okay, so look at the STC illustration here. Ang principle ng STC rating is the higher the number value, the more insulative, wala ka nang marinig. The lesser the number value, yun yung wave transmission, marinig mo. So, balik ko lang. Look at the STC rating of the door. It's STC 39. Let's look at 39. It's between 42 and 45. Napapansin nyo, kaya slightly. Loud speech can be heard only as a murmur. Or, pansin nyo, between 35 and 42, loud speech can be heard but not understood. So, inaudible siya. And 42, loud speech can be heard only as a murmur. So, ibig sabihin, between 35 and 42 is 39, yun ang narinig ni ate. So, hindi annoying sa kanya. Okay? So, again, the principle here is what we call the STC, or sound transmission class, or we call it the transmission loss, or transmission loss factor. Okay. Next, a client wants to open a dance studio on the ground floor of a building. Renting to. The existing room for the studio is fronting the road and the floor above is an office area. Okay, so what could be a scenario for noise? Pwedeng mga stamping of feet sa taas. Pwedeng noise factor sa labas or vice versa. Yung mismong dance studio ang makabigay ng sound dun sa office or makalabas ng sound sa labas. So, ito ng isang architect kayo yun. So, kayo yung inatasan. Architect, ano ba maganda sa flooring at sa ceiling? What material should be used on the flooring and on the ceiling? Well, for that, tingnan natin. Okay, this is a dance studio, di ba? Napansin nyo. Ano kagad na nakita nyo sa flooring? Wood. Okay, wood planks. Ano nakita nyo sa taas? Sa kanyang kisame? Gypsum board with metal frame. So, hindi pa natin alam. Halimbawa, tinodo mo pa, nilagyan mo yung iyong wall ng gypsum board. Well, now, this is an acoustically treated dance studio na. But remember also that there's a principle of reflective and absorptive. Hindi tama na ang room enclosure mo ay puro absorptive. Why? Because you will have what we call na muted sound. Pag muted, hirap kang magsalita. Kasi akala mo, mahina boses mo. Kasi very much absorbed. So, nilalakasan mo boses mo, nagkakaroon ka ng voice frame. At the same time, kung meron kang sound system, akala mo mahina, nilalakasan mo, nakaisport mo na sa taas, sa office, sa labas. So, halimbawa, puro reflective lang, kung mabibingi ka niyan. Grabe. Pag nabingi ka, sakit, halimbawa, you would not want to shout inside the toilet and bath because it magnifies your voice 3 times because of the presence of reflective materials like the tiles. So, once na nasa loob ka, nagkakaroon ng tinatawag na flutter echo because of the presence of a narrow hole, yung width narrow. Tapos bato ng bato yung sound because reflective. So, to cut the story short, a good acoustic enclosure should have the presence of absorptive material and reflective material. In the case of a dance studio, napansin nyo, wood is absorptive and on that wall is a mirror. What's the mirror for? Nagpa-practice ka, gusto mong makita yung movement mo. At the same time, knowingly, reflective siya. So it can bounce the sound of your music. So lumalakas yung music. No need to volume it up. So nakikita nyo yung ating ceiling also needs to have absorptive material. So nakikita nyo yung proportioning. Floor, absorptive, wall, reflective, and ceiling is absorptive. Or sometimes ganito, kung talagang halimbawa, hindi mo maiwasan, ceramic tiles ang datingan mo sa flooring mo. So ceramic is reflective, so magbabounce yan ng sound, bounce ang sound. And at the same time, yun namang wall mo ang dapat mag-absorb. So yung ceiling mo is absorptive, reflective minsan, and then your wall is now absorptive, and your floor is reflective kung ceramic. So depende yan sa function ng room. But because this is a music studio, we opted for this. Now there's another, mas matindi nga lang, mas expensive. And that would be the presence of, kita nyo, naglagay siya ng slatted panels, hindi lang sa kanyang wall, kundi pati sa kanyang ceiling. What is the purpose of slatted panels? It breaks the high frequency sound. So yung mga boses ipis, boses kikay, boses pusa, boses yero, binabasag yung intensity. Kasi ang sakit sa tenga eh. Di ba naalala nyo? Isa sa mga annoying sound doon, ewan ko kung inabutan nyo pa to, yung pinapatunog yung kanyang Nokia 3310 ng mga musical tools parang sa alarm. High frequency yun. Kaya nga ang alarma, nakaka-annoy, kaya tayo nagigising, naanoy tayo sa high frequency niya. So pag pinapatugtog yung mga ganong high frequency, ang sakit sa tenga, na-alarma ka. So, yun yung mga binabasag. Kasi much concentration of high frequency, nakakasakit sa mismong pinaka-centroid ng iyong eardrum. And therefore, must be scattered or must be, tinatawag natin na, diffused. So in that part, itong mga slatted panels natin makakagawa nun. Nakakabasa siya high frequency from your music equipment. Like may treble sa may bass. Let bass be taken care of by the wood, which is your flooring. And let the high frequency be taken in by the slatted panels sa wall mo at yung nandun sa iyong kisame. So this is a better option. However, wala tayong nakalagay ng multiple choice dito. So we just go to the very basic of placing gypsum board with metal flooring and wood blocks combination. And this is good enough for your dance studio. Clear? Okay, so what material should be used at the front facing the road? Now, of course, this is a rented office. Or studio, I mean, rented space. Therefore, may exterior wall na to. Assuming na ang exterior wall niya CHB na, di ba? And CHB is transmitting kasi hollow. So, dadagdagan mo siya. Hindi mo papasagin or hindi mo sisirain yung CHB. But you just add another. Kumbaga, nag-cladding ka. So, ang cladding mo from the outside, the best here is known to be bricks. Okay. Win-win situation again on bricks because thermal insulation and acoustic insulation. Just to give you an idea. Yung mga bahay na bato sa Ilocos, kung akala nyo aesthetic, yes, pwede, it became a style. But this is what the priority or the priest or the foreign priests are using to insulate yung house kasi mainit yung index temperature sa labas. By placing bricks, which is makapal, at the same time may moisture, lahat ng init i-absorb nito. Therefore, hindi niya napapupuntahin sa loob kasi sa kapal niya. So, nagkaroon na ng thermal storage because of that. And remember the principle of sound energy. Sound energy is converted to heat energy. So, pagka ngayon maingay sa labas, ina-absorb ni bricks, wala nang tumatapon. So, insulative siya. Hindi katulad ng mga gypsum board, may tapon pa. Ito, absorbs, so thermal storage. Kaya may thermal insulation siya. And with the thermal insulation, bricks, it absorbs and releases it slowly, keeping the house cool during daytime and warm during nighttime. Okay? And at the same time, provides you the needed acoustic insulation. Iba po yung term na absorption sa insulation. I will explain that. Okay? Pero ang pinakamaganda, the way to absorb sound, and hindi mo na itatransmit pa talagang full absorption, which is now known as insulation, is of course, bricks. Okay? So, this is how bricks work. Okay? So, mapapansin nyo sa illustration na to, the lowest is may araw, and then, inabsorb nun, lightweight walling with low thermal mass, meron siyang transmittal. Okay. Now, ito may yung pangalawa. So, nilagyan mo veneer lang na bricks veneer ha, yung pinatong mo sa CHB. Nagkaroon siya ng high thermal mass, brick veneer, dug time is 5 to 6 hours. What is the dug time? Ibig sabihin, pinasok niya yung init at the same time yung sound for 5 to 6 hours sa kanyang veneer. Hindi niya pinakawalan kagad. So, good. Okay? And then, pag ito na po yung double cavity, kasi bakit may cavity? Kasi may uwang eh, kumbaga sa bangipin na sila may uwang. So, dalawa na to. So, absorb niyo yung heat sa una pa lang. May konting transmission kasi veneer, pero absorb ng pangalawa. And therefore, the combination of this cavity brick, which is a very high thermal mass, naglalag siya, nagka-thermal storage na 7 to 8 hours. So, may repeat, hindi niya papakawalan. Inikip niya. Okay? Clear? Therefore, bricks would be our answer here. And, tingnan nyo, follow up lang. Which would you recommend for a wall facing a noisy, crowded street? So, concrete wall, drywall, bricks, acoustic foam. Okay, the answer is bricks. Diba? Now, explain ko na ha. So, we have gypsum and we have bricks. Gypsum is known to be an absorptive material. Bricks is known to be an insulative material. Daanin natin sa thickness. Okay, so mas makapal ang bricks. Kita nyo yung sound energy once in contact with the surface of the wall. Okay, nagkakaroon ng friction, which is now producing heat energy, absorb ni thickness, absorb ni material, absorb ni area. May transmittal ng konti, may tapon. And then if you look at the insulative wall, meron siya, may contact, pero makapal siya, kinip niya, no transmittal. So we can say that talagang effective ang mga insulative materials. However, the disadvantage is the thickness, therefore kung mas makapal, mas kukunti ang magiging area mo kasi kumakapal eh. So, kung yung tumapon naman, katulad na explanation natin kanina sa STC, ay hindi naman annoying, why not coconut, di ba? Ayun na lang. So, hindi natin kailangan na magpaka-insulative all throughout our interiors. Okay? So, that explains well what an absorptive wall versus an insulative wall is. Okay, another situation here. A client awarded you to design a medium-end BPO office to be in an existing residential house of 1,000 square meters. It will be a renovation project. And in consideration of the cables, what system will you use to conceal them? Okay, so, iniisip natin ganito eh. Kung di ba mabilisan? Magbabaklas pa ba ako ng kisa? May renovation to? syempre madugo yan. Now, ang consideration mo lang, meron ka pa bang height? Kasi if you have the height, pwede kang magdagdag na lang ng additional floor. So magre-raise floor ako para doon ko itago yung aking mga cables. And in consideration for that, syempre, the answer is letter A, raised floor systems. So, you're looking at the server, yung parang cabinet, and from that cabinet, pasok na kagad. So, the shorter run of the cables, the more that you can avoid intermittent signal. Kaya ginagamitan nila ng raised floor system, especially the servers. Okay? Oh, kailangan pa bang i-memorize yan? Di siya na yan. So, yung sinasabi, data shared is none, letter A. What communication system is used to link one office to another for a private dialogue? Kayo lang nag-uusap. Okay. In an upgrade, we do not need telephone na minsan, messenger lang, text, or kung ano pa man ang mga platform ngayon na ginagamit to communicate. But it all started with the presence of internal communication. So, internal communication, private dialogue, one office to the other, interconnected spaces, so intercom, and therefore the answer is there, intercom. So, ang keyword niya, private dialogue. Okay? Next. Amplified. Di ba? Pagka umuulit I won't discuss anymore kasi narinig yun na. So, just reiterating what effort goes to be amplified, and the answer is router. Another situation, you were asked to design a parking lot for a mall and a hotel. Among your concerns would be the safe vertical height for vehicles to pass. What is the highest point from which vertical clearances are based? Pag ikaw may vehicle ka, pumasok ka sa car park, nakikita mo may bakal na nakalagay malapit sa guardhouse or malapit dun sa naniningil sa'yo or nagbibigay sa'yo ng ticket, nakikita mo naglalagay siya ng clear distance. So pagka sumayad ka doon, so hindi pwede yung vehicle mo kasi yun ang kanyang clear height. Okay? Clear. Walang obstruction, clear height. So if you look at a car park, dyan nilalagay mostly mga utility pipes, ducts, equipments, etc. which calls for pipelines. At yung mga pipelines, hindi naman siya embedded sa slab, kundi suspended from the slab. And therefore would create that space na baka sumayad pa rin yung vehicle mo dyan. So, we need to check that kasi ang pinaka-accepted is 1.8 or 6 feet. 1.8, yan na yung minimum clearance. And therefore, yung normal naman is the height of a door which is 2.10, sometimes 2.4. Okay? So, nakikita niyo yung mga ganitong senaryo Fibonacci. 1.8, 2.10, 2.4, and a floor-to-floor base 3 meters. Diba? So, looking at slab, beams, pipes, and pipe supports. Okay, nakikita niyo. This was taken, I took a picture from a car park of a mall. Napansin nyo, start tayo sa letter A, slab. O yung slab Tapos letter B, the beams. O yan yung beam, steel beam. Tapos may pipe. Tapos tingnan yung pipe support. Mas mababa pa rin yung pipe support. So pipe supports ang ating basis ng pinakamababa. Okay, kasi pwede pa rin sumabit yan. So pipe supports po yung answer natin Now, another situation, your architectural team is designing a 3-story hospital. How many elevators would you suggest? 3-story, okay. In a typical building, pagka 3-story ka, hindi pa nga kailangan ng elevator. This is a hospital. So, sa mo meron. Is the fastest way to transport yung mga patients na nasa stretcher, a wheelchair. Siyempre, meron pa rin naman mga pagkakataon that if you have spaces, there are provisions for ramp. Kasi siyempre, yung mga ramp, sabi, kung nagkaroon ng power failure, hindi mo magamit yan. Well, of course, there's a need for an option. So, yung option is to put the ramp. But of course, hindi ramp ang pinag-usapan natin. Ang tanong lang naman, ilang elevators. So, what would be your answer here? Okay. O, sige, tama kayo doon. One, but it is ideal to have one for passengers and one for patients in stretches. Kaya nga minsan nilalakihan na nila yung elevator. Yung kasya na yung pasyente, kasya na yung nagbabantay sa pasyente, kasya yung tumutulak doon sa stretcher, etc. However, syempre, because of the presence of the pandemic, nagkaroon ng limit sa paggamit ng elevator. Sometimes they only require 3 users at a time or 2 users at a time depending on the area. But of course, in a normal setting, one would be enough for a 3-story. What type of elevator would you suggest? We all know that there are 2 types of elevators, one electric, one hydraulic. So kitang-kita nyo na yung answer dito, which is letter C. So let's invest on letter C, traction or hydraulic, sabi ganun. Okay, this is the nomenclature of an elevator. Being an elevator of 2 types, we have the electric elevator, which is normally operating by a cable, and the hydraulic, which is operating by a plunger. Okay, let's look first at the electric elevator. Dalawang klase ng traction ng electric elevator. One gearless, kasi yung drum niya walang gear, so mas mabilis ang speed ng cable doon. That is good for tall buildings. And the other one is geared. Yung geared, yung span and worm na tinatawag. Geared and worm. I stand corrected. Geared and worm. So gearless is span and worm. Geared is geared and worm. So may ngipin na umahatak dun sa kable. So pagka ganyan, mas mabagal compared sa gearless. Kaya nga pang tall buildings yung gearless. Now, if you choose the geared, which is the geared traction, which is good for low to medium rise, is basically the same as using a hydraulic elevator with a plunger, which is also applicable for low to medium rise. Kaya tingnan yung choice of either traction or hydraulic. Okay, that explains the choice. So letter C. And still on the situation of vertical pipe, context 2 na kagad. Vertical pipe extending water supply, another, especially one connecting a temporary tap to the main. So what is that? It's a pipe. It's for firefighting. Okay? Ang Siamese yung bunganga yung white. Pero ito, vertical pipe. So, that would be now your standpipe. And standpipes are color-coded red. That is based on National Building Code and based on Fire Code of the Philippines. Now, just to give you an idea, tingnan yung fire hose rack dito. Di ba wala siyang cabinet? So, ang tawag dito ay FHR, fire hose rack. Tanggalin mo yung hose. Ang matitira yung may gate valve. Ang tawag yan FHS, fire hose supply. Lagyan mo ng cabinet yung setup, then it becomes FHC. At pag nilagyan mo ng cabinet, automatic integrated dyan ang fire extinguisher. Okay? Here? So, moving on. Now, pag umabot ka sa sprinkler system, it is known as fire suppression. Hindi na siya fire prevention. It suppresses the presence of fire with minimal intervention of tao. Kasi yung sprinkler na mismo magtatrabaho para sa building. So, itong fire suppression na to, okay, right now, kung ang system mo intelligent, tinatawag siya na fire addressable system. Computer generated, yung computer ang magbibigay ng needed pressure sa mga area na may apoy or may sunog lang. Hindi niya babasahin yung enterong building because there are these 2 premises of protection of your building, protection in terms of firefighting. Dalawa protektahan niya. Protection of life, protection of property. Okay, na-protect mo ngayon life, walang namatay, awa ng Diyos. Pero water damage or smoke damage yung iyong building. So, wala rin. Di ba? Ang dami mong papalitan, ang dami mong i-renovate because ang dami na damage. So ngayon, kung dito lang, yung sunog, i-address ko dito lang, ba't kumabasa yung internal building, kaya fire addressable system, kaya nagkakaroon tayo ng fire annunciation panel or fire alarm control panel na sinasabi. So, pagka ganyan naman na meron kang sprinkler, automatic din na wet system ka, ba't may asa sa dry? Di ba? Paano puputok in the first place ang nagpapaputok dun sa quartzoid bulb ay yung pressure ng tubig na dinidikta ng computer. So, which fire suppression system is not integrated in the building structure? Ang answer natin would be, madami nagkakamali dyan, nakala fire extinguisher kasi the word integrated. Okay? So, as I've said, the first illustration on your left is of course with the fire hose rack, and that is FHR. That one with the cabinet completo is what we call now the FHC. Okay? Pag fire hose cabinet, integrated siya. Kasi ito yung may mga wet pipe or wet stand pipe. Okay? And then, tingnan nyo, may fire extinguisher siyang kasama. Pagdating naman dun sa isa, pinapakita ko lang yung firefighting pumps and fire reserve, yung mismong tangke. And then, nakita nyo na bawat floor ay meron siya na pwede nga pag tinanggal mo yung fire hose rack, so fire hose supply lang. And normally, yung mga fire hose supply, not really on the floor line, but on the middle part of a stairway, which is used for fire exit. So, nandun siya sa landing, at doon makikita yung FHS, or fire supply with the gate valve. So, in relation to number 4 is, number 5, pareho na, fire suppression system integrated, na pwede mo raw gamitin by both the building occupants and the firefighters. The first thing na kinukuha mo dyan is, hindi ka nag-attempt to break the glass para ikaw mismo mag-hose. Kung kaya pa ng fire extinguisher, then why not? Diba? So, it is part of the suppression system. And therefore, the answer here is, of course, fire extinguisher, which can be used by the building occupants. Now, very tricky question, still under the situation. So, yung dry standpipe, ang kulit ano? So, magulat kayo kung walang zero dyan, ibig sabihin meron, but there is the zero, which means that it is just reiterating, hindi just dry standpipe, wet standpipe tayo, when it comes to the suppression system. And, if you think again, that 7 jives with number 6. Dry standpipe na naman, napaka-generic na question. Where is the best location for a dry standpipe? Saan ba natin nilalagay yung stairway? Diba? So, not what to do. Not what to do is this. To paint the standpipe with the same color of your wall to camouflage it. Dapat nagmumurang pula yan. Kahit na sa gabi makikita mo yung kulay pula. Kaya nga siya kinolor code ng pula. Pula is a color for danger. Pula is an alert color. Okay, kaya tingnan mo mga fire alarm, tingnan mo mga annunciation, red lights, lahat yan, red ang kulay. Para naalarma ka, para yung thinking mo, nagkakaroon ka ng quick response. So that's the reason why you have the red. Okay, another situation. You were commissioned to erect a 9-story residential condominium along C5 Road. 9 na to ha, hindi na 3. Di pa ang hangganan ng wala ka pa, sa ordinary na building 4 stories. Pag nag-5 ka, nire-record ng batas meron. This is 9 stories, and it is requiring now ilan? Okay, so yun naman ang obvious na answer dyan eh, minimum of 2. Okay? Now, ako na mismo naglagay nito, in underline ko, habitable. What is habitable? What is the term habitable? Pangtao, makatao, pangtao. The last habitable story of the condo is the 9th floor. But it has a rooftop. Eh, no, ito may rooftop. It has a rooftop with a garden open for all occupants. Elevator's machine room is 1.20 height from the headroom of the rooftop. Where would you locate the last stop of the elevator? Not technically talking about mga installation, but just going for the habitability. Alam niyo naman, pag tumataas ka sa isang kondo, mas mahal yung mga units yan, mas nasa penthouse ka. Tapos sila pagkakaitan mo ng elevator, just because your answer is at the 8th floor, pag sa 8th floor, hahagdan pa sila sa 9. Diba? Which is, anong katarungan doon? Anong hustisya when it comes to comfortability or access? So, obviously, nananakot naman tayo. But of course, the last stop would still be at the 9th floor. Kasi nasa rooftop yung elevator machine room eh. Diba? And then, which of the following would you least locate adjacent a lobby? Adjacent Lists. List, ano yung list? Huwag mong ilagay dyan. Mangangamoy yan. O, namin ang answer. Binigyan ko na kayo ng clue. Okay. Normally kasi, may mga condo, ganito ang nakikita natin. It's a rule or requirement na pagka umaga, kailangan nilang magtapon ng basura. So, assuming that they have a garbage chute, bubuksan nila yung hopper type. Hooper or hopper. Sometimes narinig ko hooper, sometimes hopper. Depende sa pronunciation. The hopper type is parang inverted na unit. Pagbukas mo nun, itatapon mo din yung plastic mo ng basura at pupunta sa isang shop na tatapon yung basura mo sa pinakailalim at may sasapon na cart para sa basura. So, once na binubuksan mo yun, because of the frequency of use and because minsan hindi naman lagi secure yung basura, minsan yan nga, dapat nga yung pinaka interior lining ng garbage chute mo, walang mga seam, walang dugtong kasi minsan nasasabit yung plastic, so seamless. Pagbaksak ng basura doon, syempre mag-aamoy, mga ganyan, and therefore every time may open mo at nasa labi ka, mangangamoy yan, halimuyak na yan. Okay, so it is obvious that garbage chute should be least located at lobby. Now, here in this illustration, pakita nyo muna yung may check at saka yung may cross assuming that we are in the corridor upper. So naghihintay ka ng elevator at the same time. Ang elevator is always adjacent to a service elevator. So, ito yung may service elevator, yung may enclosure dito. And then, kung ba nilagay mo sa enclosure na yon, yung service stairwell mo, stairway, yung garbage chute. Okay. So, pagka ganyan, may pintuan yung pinaka-stairwell mo, di ba? So, hindi siya, kulog siya, hindi siya mangangamoy sa corridor. So, pagbaba niya, di ba, lobby na. Okay, lobby. Dito, so may nakikita yung blank wall. Nakita nyo yung stairway, yung service stairway, is with a blank wall na. So, ibig sabihin, hindi siya nag-lead directly sa lobby. But it has a service corridor where the service corridor leads to an MRF which is located at the west. Kaya yung basura mo, magtetenga lang dito hanggat hindi pa nakukolekta ng mga janitorial staff. But, mapapansin nyo that because of that black wall, hindi maamoy sa lobby. Okay? Yung basura from the garbage. And then, if you look at site plans, normally pumapasok ang garbage truck at naghihintay dun sa likod. Kasi may MRF. Kasi ang MRF, kailangan mo muna i-segregate yung mga basura mo. So, once hindi nakasegregate, isa standing doon ng mga garbage truck collectors na hindi nila pupunin ang basura mo kung hindi nakasegregate. So, you need to have a space doon sa likod. And then, pwede ba nagipit ka ng setbacks kasi maximize ang iyong PSO? Well, nasa likod mismo ng building yung MRF. Okay? Ayan. So, ganyan ang mga setup. And nakikita yung lean on the west. Kasi pagka west, at nagkaroon ng direct heat yung araw doon sa iyong MRF, napapatay niya yung germs because of the ultraviolet rays naturally. So, malilesen ang amoy. Okay? Now, hindi ko alam kung bakit nagkaroon ng computation sa ganito. But this is just a very simple estimate computation. So, using an illustration provided how many 0.60 by 0.60 meters floor tiles will you use at the kitchen. Dining area and living area with allowance on the floor plan, the exact size for areas given square meters. So, sabi niya naman, the figures won't tally, but get the closest answer using a 15% allowance. What is the 15% allowance? Contingency kasi pwede ka mabasagan. Lalo na sa handling, lalo na sa stackable height pag tinatransport ng mga tiles. Therefore, simple math lang to. So, pakita na natin, you have 12.5, 14.20, 16, add, and your 0.60 times 0.60 is 0.36 by area. Saka mo palang i-multiply dun sa 15% na contingency, and you come up with the answer for 138 tiles. Okay? So, ibig sabihin may pasobra ka pa, hindi, pasobra na nga eh. Sa 138 mo may pasobra na yan. Okay, kita nyo, makulit to, assembly yung ginamit, hindi ngayon suppression. So, integration, assembly integration. So, alam na natin na, and that will be the dry stand pipe. Another situation, owner A decides to hire an electrician to work for him instead of a professional electrical engineer. Upon wrapping in an installation, the electrician proposed to the owner to alter the specified wires into bigger sizes in order to accommodate larger electrical loads. The owner agrees, and it seems to be reasonable. And he was confident because his house was equipped by circuit breakers. Sakla po, several days later, owner A's house burned down. After inspection by the Bureau of Fire Protection, it was learned that the fire was caused by faulty electrical connection. Bakit kaya? So, let's look at your circuit breakers. Ba't hindi nag-work yung circuit breakers? Why did the circuit breakers function as designed? Kasi nilakihan mo yung size ng wire, hindi ka sumunod sa schedule of loads. So, hindi na-detect ni circuit breaker yung overload. Kasi, naging kampante siya, malaki naman yung diameter mo, so kayanin mo yan, hindi ako magtatrabaho. Di ba? So, hindi siya nag-trip kasi nga, wala siya na-detect na overload. Okay? So, that would be letter A. Look at this principle. Sabihin na natin, illustration, the first at the left, left niyo. Typical na Ohm's law. So, you have a circular mill, which is diameter, na compute mo yan based on the EMF or the electromotive force na papasok, which is 230 volts. Pagpasok ni EMF, ni volt, kay conductor nandun si current, ang unit niya amperes. So nagsama na si volt amperes. So yung relation nila okay kasi computed sila. So tatakbo sila papunta sa appliance. And then kung di ba nagmamaganda tong si EMF, kumanti na ng konti 250 280. Nakiliti ng konti si current, si amperes. Uy, kawa, may pasobra ka. Who would take care of the pasobra? The resistance of the insulator. So ibig sabihin, malumanay kang pumasok 230 by excess, so nagkaroon ng excess pressure. Who would take care of the excess pressure? The one that would resist that, which is the insulator. So that's the Ohm law, the interrelationship of current, volts, and the resistance. Now, assuming, nilakihan mo. Katulad na nakikita mo ngayon, nilakihan mo yan, diameter. So what would happen? Di ba? Mas hindi tatakbo na mabilis, maglilinger siya sa area. Pag naglinger siya sa area, yung heat volt, because of the volt amperes, ang tendency ay mag-init. So, unnecessary heat or undue heat yun. Na pagka uminit, nagbaga yan, pwede niya sunugin yung aking insulation. And therefore, would now cause the faulty wiring. Okay. So, hindi pa rin makuha. Sige, electric stove tayo. Pag nagluto ka sa electric stove with that metal, hindi ba yung electric stove, para gumana siya, kailangan magbaga. Nakikita mo, red, flaming hot na baga. Assume yan yung heat volt na pumupunta sa iyong conductor. Good, wala siyang insulator, wala siyang susunugin. So, nakita nyo, this is a range which requires larger. Bakit larger na diameter? Kasi para hindi masunog agad. Para equally distributed yung heat. Kasi maging malaking area. Pero hindi siya nilagyan ng balot. Diba? Imagine, meron kang electric stove may insulation. Hindi susunugin ka insulation mo. Di yun yung tinatawag natin na critical part, which is now, yung tinatawag natin faulty wiring. So, the bigger that you place, the more na maglilinger siya dun sa pwesto, katulad na nakikita mong electric stove, and therefore nakakasunog. Nakakaluto eh. Diba? So, yun yung prinsipyo. Kaya, anong moral principle dyan? Hindi lahat ng lalakihan mo yung diameter maganda. Dapat tamang-tama sa computation. So we have to be dependent on the computation of the schedule of loads. Sumunod tayo doon. Huwag tayong magkaroon ng improvisation katulad ng ginawa ng electrician at nag-consent naman yung ating owner. Now, sino ang sisisihin? Okay. Let me orient you on multiple choices. 80% correct ang may all of the above. Nakakita ka na ng all of the above, medyo, uy. Kaya lang, hindi lahat na may 20%. O sabihin mo, sinabi ni Architect Poeta, pag nakakita ka na ng all of the above, tama na to. You have to still critically analyze. Kasi dito, uy, ba't ako, sabi ganun ng architect. Let us have an assumption here. During the electrical traffic in, we're not there. So you're supposed to be supervising. Again, hindi mo inaasa sa isang electrical engineer. Ikaw nagtitingin paano nila ikinabit yung mga insulation or yung mga kable na yan. So, during the incident, hindi involved. So, the first, kumbaga, person of interest, kasi hindi na, pangit na yung word na suspect. Okay? Mga grammatical upgrades. A suspect right now, kasi may suspect siya ako, hindi, person of interest. Yun. One of those person of interest would be the architect. Baka may kinalaman siya sa pagkakasunog. So, sinamon siya ng Bureau of Fire. The owner, siyempre, siya yung may-ari. And then, the electrician, pagkasama sila. Pag pupunta ka sa ganyan, when you're being asked to give your statement with an investigating body, you should be equipped with your documents. Of course, ang dala-dala mo is your working drawing. Yung original mo, kaya ang intellectual property mo yan. Kaya hindi mo binibigay ang kanino, sa'yo yan. Kaya pagka nagkataon ng copy yung iyong mga owner, yung mga iba na pinagbibigyan mo, blueprint. Diba? So, equipped with your weapon or your intellectual property, pinakitaan ka halimbawa. Okay, answer na muna natin to, so all of the above muna. Ngayon, pinakitaan ka. Architect ko, ito yung na-retrieve namin sa site. Ito yung malamang nasunog. Malaki ang size ng wire. Specify mo ba to, architect? And if you know your schedule of loads, hindi na, kasi hindi ko alam eh, kay electrical engineer ko, wag ganun na, sagwa. Wait, anong size yan? Ito ang size ko eh, kasi meron kang schedule of loads. Hindi ako nag-specify nito. Ito yung document ko, ito yung specification ko. Absuelto ka. So, dalawa na lang ang natitira na person of interest for the blaming. So, ngayon, kapitan natin siya ay number 3. Who should make the first move to settle the problem? So, ikaw na yung arbitration. Okay, so the answer is there, letter A. the architect, arbitration is part of the services, you would determine who among the two, the owner and the electrician, would be blamed. Okay? O, sino? Si electrician? Kumbaga si electrician nagsabi lang, ma'am, akin na natin yung size ng wire mo para mas maraming load. Ikaw naman, mukhang okay ah. Hindi ka nagtanong kay architect. Kaya hindi mo na, ay sandali lang, tatanungin ko muna si architect. I-on call mo si architect. Architect, sabi ni electrician, ganyan. Eh syempre, ikaw pupunta doon. Teka, sandit lang. Oso, kita nyo? Sino ngayon sa totoo lang ha, ang i-blame dito? Now, really the owner. Why? On two counts. On two counts. Okay, balik natin sitwasyon. Decides to hire an electrician instead of professional. One count. Number two, the owner agrees. Count two, siya yun. Okay? Masakit man, nasunugan na siya, wala pa siyang dapat sisihin dito. Kundi, yan, ang tunay na pangyayari. Okay? So, dito, parang halos pareho. Another situation. The owner hired, ay, teka. Okay, so dito tayo. Pareho lang. Ganun din na pala yung sitwasyon, nakala ko iba. So, pareho na sitwasyon. So, ganun din yung answer, oh. Why did the circuit breaker fail to detect the short circuit or overloading? Letter B, the capacity of the wire is too large. And here, different setup. Who should be blamed for the fire? Kita mo, walang all of the above, ah. The owner, he did not hire professional mass electrician. So again, may I reiterate what I said earlier? It's dependent on the situation. So, hindi memorized answer. It is based on situation. Okay? What should have been done by the electrician to prevent the fire? Sana gumamit na lang siya ng appropriate wire at hindi na siya nagmaganda, nag-inarte pa. Okay? Use the appropriate wiring capacity. Gusto nyo, letter 1. Letter C. O, di ba? Ikaral ka muna dapat. O, hindi naman ganun. So, letter A. Use the appropriate wiring capacity. Okay, another situation. At a textile factory, the manager has a picture drawn by Sam. Siyempre gusto niya ipakita. He wants to hang it on the wall of his office at lalagyan niya ng ilaw para ma-emphasize. Okay? So, what would you recommend he should use to emphasize, illustrate his son's drawing on his wall without consuming too much power? So, you have the choices here. And obviously, alam niyo na kung ano magiging answer. Okay? So, once that you display something at para illuminate tama at ma-emphasize at magkaroon ng accentuation, nilagyan mo siya ng track lighting. Okay? Pero, pag nilagay mo yung track lighting, gusto mo naman mababa pressure without consuming too much power. So, if you choose, halimbawa, letter B, katuwa-tuwa to kasi yung spotlight is directional. Ang spotlight kasi kung saan ang movement eh. Sumasama siya. That's the spotlight. Pero pag halimbawa, track light, meron kang halimbawa, may binato ka pataas, meron may mga 20 to 30 degrees, and it emphasizes the color of the illustration. At the same time, you use a picture that is not consuming too much power, which is LPS or low pressure sodium. Okay? Recess, paano naman mag-direct sa picture yung recess eh nakabaon sa isang pin light or nakabaon sa kisame mo? Surface mounted CFL, ay di wow. Diba? Sige, magulat ka sa lakas ng ilaw or brightness ng isang CFL. Okay, so some are banning CFL because of the irritation it caused. But not the one that was questioned because of a bigger area involved. So mamaya yun. Okay. So what's the answer natin? Track light, LPS. And look at the ballast there sa illustration. The ballast limits the current flow. So kung nalilimitahan niya yung current flow, nalilimitahan niya yung too much power. And then nakita nyo rito that ang ginamit niya is MR, multifaceted reflection, so that the reflection is equally distributed at hindi lang ang dating niya is mass intense sa gitna. So meron siyang HUV na ginamit dito. Okay? For the production area, dito yung mga mananahi. So which lighting is best? Now, baka bigla-bigla mo sabihin, ganito, factory sa industrial lighting. Ang tanong ko naman, so industrial lighting, what kind of industrial lighting? Diba? At pag sinabi ng pendant lighting, ito yung from the ceiling, pababa, na meron siyang housing, na nakadirect, direct light. So magiging 1:1 ang dating nito, which is magastos kung marami kang mga factory workers. How about if I distribute it to 2 to 3 factory workers, having the intensity needed also? So meron pa rin siyang hood, at yung hood niya ay may silver lining. The silver mirrors, so it doubles the intensity of the light. So pinakamaganda na is to use trover lighting. So look at the retrofit that is done in this factory. Nung umpisa nakikita nyo, open tube ang ginagamit, na dikit-dikit na. So mas marami, mas nag-incurry ng init. Samantalang kung ikay nakakurba, yung kurba na yun, ang magbibigay ng mga angles na equally distributed on an area. At the same time, may reflection kasi dumami yung intensity ng ilaw. So win-win situation ka na naman sa trover light. Okay? Next. You hired a mass electrician to do the electrical works for your newly built house. At kaya ba ganyan, owner? You ask the electrician to install the materials you recommend after a year, problems in the electrical works resurface. Hindi resurface. So, who's responsible for this? Okay. Let's put on the answer. Mass electrician, because he knew from the start that he's installing defective or inappropriate materials. Well, that's the problem right now that we are facing when we shop online. Once delivered, hindi ka pwedeng mag-inspeksyon kung ang nabili mo ba defective o hindi. So, the disadvantage of returning. Now, sometimes, nasa-sales stock ang isang client, ang isang nagtitinda, naglalako, whether that be face-to-face or mga exhibits noon, maganda to. Siyempre, ang isang salesperson would always go for the positive side of the product, not stating the negative side of the product. And since vulnerable ang may-ari because he's not technically skilled, binili niya. So, nung pagbili niya, dahil sinabi sa kanya, maganda to. Eh di, sige, binigay niyo sa electrician. Yung electrician, sabihin na natin, aral sa mga specs. So, nagpakatahimik siya kasi, instead na sabihin niya, ma'am, ba't naman ito nabili niyo, defective to, hindi maganda to eh. So, ang inisip niya, ako po sinabi ko to, wala akong kita. Hindi niya ako kukunin service kasi bibili ng panibago yan. So, mapepending pa yung trabaho niya instead na magkapera pa. Bilang isang arkitekto, ganun din tayo. Okay. Ang pinaka nakakatakot na scenario, lalo na sa mga rookie, lahat tayo nagdaan sa pagiging rookie. I, for one, have several experiences na pagiging rookie ko. Yung ace mo din kasi umpisa. You are being tested of your knowledge. Or the most that they can say, matalino ka lang, experience, wala ka pa. Okay, so nahihinog tayo sa experience. So sometimes, what if your experience is not that tuned in? Hindi pa. So, ang gagawin mo ganito, you have to look at the brochure or the specs or aaralin mo yung advantage, disadvantage of a particular product. Kasi, ganito, scenario balik ko. nasa stock. Saglit lang ha, nandito ang architect ko. Architect, maganda ba to? Mga ambush na ganun, na hindi mo pa nababasa yung specs na caught off guard ka, na nandyan yung salesperson, si owner, ikaw, na nagmumukha kang syunga sa pananaw ni sales agent kasi siya inindoctrinada ganito sabihin mo, wala kang kabuwang mundo sa product. So parang pabango, nagulat ka. Sige ma'am, okay yan, ano sinabi niya, okay. After a year na, katulad ng nangyari dito, naging defective, babalik kang ni owner. Okay, sasabihin sa'yo, kala ko ba matibay architect, sabi mo, hindi naman pala. So, gusto din ikaw, hindi naglako. Ikaw yung nagsabi na okay, effective yan ma'am, good yan, like yan ma'am, like, puso ma'am, here. Matipong ganyan. Anyway, so, what if, ganito naman nangyari? Architect, maganda ba ito? Another ambush question. Ma'am, wala akong alam dyan ma'am. Tapos ang tingin sa'yo, arkitekto, walang alam dito, o di ba? What if ganito? Architect, maganda ba ito? Nagulat ka na naman. Ay, siyempre mag-gusto. Matipong ganyan. Tingin ng brochure mo, sabi mo dun sa salesperson, sa sales agent, aralin ko muna ma'am, huwag mo munang bilhin. Pag naaral ko, nakita ko specs niya, saka natin bilhin niya. See, you're weighing. Huwag ka pa dalos-dalos. Kaya nga, every time na pupunta ka sa mga exhibit, you always get their brochures. You always get them. Hindi yung pagpupunta ka sa exhibit, ang pinupunta rin mga libreng ballpen sa tote bag, ang naloob, o kaya may libreng scratch paper doon, o kaya ganito, may magandang binibini doon na yun yung pinupuntahan ng arkitekto. Huwag ganon. Kasi you are there to know the materials, to know the specs of the material. Aralin natin, bago natin sabihin na maganda yan. Okay? Clear? Okay. Another situation. Given a schedule of panel board circuits of a two-story retail store, may annotation na, or lighting outlets have 15 ampere wire. Yan po yung sa lighting. While power outlets have 20 ampere wire. Nasa pan po yan, schedule of those. IMC or intermediate metal conduit was used. Yun po yung tubo, yung conduit. Hindi agad mapansin yung IMC kasi sobrang liit ng text. Expect that. Kasi ang tendency is para malito ka, hindi mo kagad nakita, naging, alam mo yun, yung mata mo, na-deceive ka. May mga ganong pagkakataon eh. So, hindi mo napansin, meron pala nakalagay IMC. Halimbawa, ay, okay. Anong nangyari niyang ganito eh? Ito tinuturo. So, call out, pa-identify. Siyempre tingin mo lang dyan. Tapos nandito pala, oh, Diyos ko, pagkalit-kalit ang langgam. Labo pa, andoon. Di mo napansin, nakala mo dumi lang. Yun pala, IMC yan entero. So, you have to really be careful in looking at registrations. Yan. Hindi mapansin kasi sobrang liit. So, the whole of this would now be IMC. Okay? Ay, malabo po siya. Okay, IMC. Nakuha ko. Ayun po yun. So, now, questions. Katulad din kanina ito ng tunnel natin. Siyempre, kung magtatap ka, at ang specs mo 5,000 volt amperes na signage, yung nasa labas. Hindi kung manekta ka sa mas malaki ang pondo. Yun lang naman ang basic rule of thumb eh. Ano mas malaki ang pondo dito? Hindi yung letter C. Kasi 6,000, no? Oh, meron ka pang 1,000 na pasobra. Okay? So, where would the switch for the new signage be located? We all know that when you have a retail store and when you close shop, as much as possible, para hindi ka nalilito na napatay na ba yung mga ilaw. Tingnan yung second floor kung meron. You have a master, the switch, which is very near your front door or your main door. Kaya kung 2 stories ka at paalis ka na lang, syempre, mas maganda na i-locate yun sa ground floor. Diba napaka-practical lang naman ng tanong. And then, what conduit, or what conductor, hindi pala conduit, conductor. Conductor yung mismong kable ha. Yung mismong wire, conductor was used. So, kung titingnan mo yung choices dito, okay. Huwag mong pipiliin ng CND, mga nalagyan to. You are to choose between A and B kasi mga ganito, thermoplastic family to. What's the difference between a 3-letter thermoplastic and a 4-letter thermoplastic? A 3-letter is normally used for indoor and a 4-letter is for outdoor. And since we're talking of a signage, so ang gagamitin mo ngayon yung 4. Okay, now, TH, TW, THW. Okay, mga pang indoor yan eh. Thermoplastic heat resistant, thermoplastic moisture resistant, thermoplastic heat and moisture resistant. Ano ang THX? Crosslink yun. Ang THX. Ito yung crosslink. Crosslink normally polyethylene ang gamit nila na insulation dyan. Thermoplastic high heat, yun ibig sabihin. So, mas advantageous siya for outdoor application. And therefore, since this is a retail store and signage yung pinaka-sitwasyon, we are to use now the 4-letter, which is the THX. Now, IMC na yung access conduit. Tingnan nyo to, signage to. Nakikita yung tubo na yun. Yung tubo na nakala yung tubo lang to hold that Panaflex signage. Pero lumusot sa kanya ang kable. Ayun o, nakikita nyo po sa dulo, may lumusot. Yan, THX yan. Papasok dito sa Panaflex yan. Ano yung Panaflex? May fluorescent sa loob. Tapos doon, ito, acrylic, sa akin acrylic lang yung ginamit niya para mag-illuminate sa gabi. So, looking at that, kasi dapat weatherproof or dapat medyo lumalaban sa conditions ng labas yung ating kable. Therefore, mas maganda yung meron siyang outer sheeting and the outer sheeting is given to you by that X which is a crosslink polyethylene. Okay? So, kailangan pa bang i-memorize yan? IMC na po yung answer. Okay? So, intermediate metal conduit ang ating tubo. And this is just mere abbreviation. So, dami na sinabi. Type of electrical wire suitable for dry dump, blah, 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 THN. Sabi niya lang, what is meant by THN? So, kita niyo yung N dito is the sheeting which is nylon coated. And therefore, the answer here is of course thermoplastic high heat resistant nylon coated. And, isa naman, W. What is THWN? I suggest, kasi nga ito yung mga malalakasan, na huwag niyo tatanggalin yung high. Thermoplastic high heat and water resistant nylon coated. So, yun naman yung ibig sabihin ng abbreviation ng THWN. Okay. And already given here, XHHW, which is commercially known as XLPE, cross-link polyethylene. Polyethylene din yung sheeting. Tingnan nyo dito sa illustration yung cross-link niya. XLPE insulation. Okay? Okay, so let's have a break. After the break, babalik po ko sa inyo and we'll continue with our discussion. Okay po? Okay, so we're in acoustics right now, and please note that acoustics is a very minimal subject matter in utilities. Kung bibigay man nila to is more of definitions, and with all due respect, hindi forte ng RT ang acoustics because this is supposed to be the work of an acoustics engineer, and one thing that you have to learn about acoustics is malalaman mo na effectivity niya kung nagawa na yung area or yung room. For example, in an auditorium, syempre kung ginawa na yung mga fixed seating ng mga yan, lahat naka-set up na stage, proscenium, etc. How can you test reverberation if you do not have the audience. Diba? That's the testing part. How can you check if it's empty? Because it will really have the presence of echo. Pero kung may audience ka, wala naman. So at least, nakikita natin na in checking, tapos na yung trabaho architecturally, interior-wise, pero yung acoustics, nagtetest pa rin. But I just gave you one point in acoustics na nangyayari. But paano ba ito sa board exam? Well, they won't really go for computation. And ang premise lang naman, alam mo ba yung principle behind acoustics? Yun lang naman eh. So, tingnan natin, katulad ng mga definition of terms, madali lang yan. And one of those na lagi nilang sinasama sa tinatawag natin na definition of terms ay walang kamatayan. Tingnan natin yung first item. Kita nyo, number 1 and number 2 ha. Prolonged sound. Lagyan natin prolongation of sound. Lagyan pa natin persistence of sound. Bakit nag-persist? Kasi sa isang auditorium halimbawa, may sound source. Pag yung sound source na yun, nag-travel na, nag-hit ng wall, then tong wall na to magre-reflect, then magre-reflect, then magre-reflect, then reflect sa ilang sides. So hanggat hindi natatapos yung sound source, hindi rin natatapos yung reflection, and then natapos na yung sound source, nagre-reflect pa rin, and that is what they call RTR reverberation time or decay time. Okay? So, ang persistence is when the sound source already died. So nagkaroon pa siya ng motion. So seconds to, kumbaga, if yung seconds na yun umexceed sa laki, kasi variable laki ng area, height ng area, length ng area. Kung nag-exceed siya sa expected na time ng reverberation time, it becomes an echo. At yun ang iniiwasan nila, kaya they have to test that. So again, number 1, prolonged sound, prolongation of sound, persistence of sound, that is what we call reverberation. Okay, that's the answer for that. And number 2, study reverberation, sasabi lang natin, what is refraction, what is diffusion? Okay, refract, papakita ko sa inyo, illustration. Ito tayo. Okay. Assuming, meron tayong surface. Yung surface na yan, pagkalimbawa, ito yung sound source. At solid yan, syempre ang tendency is reflect. Okay? Pero pagkalimbawa, ang isang surface ay may mga butas-butas. So, nangyayari is, may part na magbabounce, may part na lulusot, and that's the one that is called refracted. Pumasok. Bakit ba ganyan? Bakit kailangan may papasukin? Kasi, pag buong buo yung sound na yun, at gusto mong basagin, para mabasag, maglagay ka ng butas. So, yan ang refraction. Okay? Refraction. Here, lalo na kulimbawa, mga high frequency, ang sasakit sa tenga. Gusto mo na mabasag, ma-disperse. Okay? So, ang pagbasag niya is lagyan mo ng butas, either ceiling or wall. Yan po yan. Or slatted, tawag nila, slatted panels. Now, kung yung isa naman, yung diffusion, balik tayo Okay, diffusion. So, ito naman ang diffusion. Halimbawa, meron tayong stage. Okay, stage. And then, audience. Ayan, mga nakaupo. And then, ito yung sound source. And then, ito ngayon ang inyong, okay, nakikita yan? We call it display. Okay? So, pag nag-display, ibig sabihin ito, yung sound niya, pagka pumunta sa pinakakanto, mababasag, pero magre-reflect, kaya magiging ganyan. Walang lumusot ito naman, di ba yan? And then ito ulit. So, anong purpose nito? Para yung sound level is everywhere the same. That's diffusion. Sound level is everywhere the same. So, nakita niyo yung pagkakaiba, Ito, balik. Ito, reflection. Ito, refraction. Ito, diffusion. Liwanag ha? Okay, clear. Now, yung number 3, balik tayo. Okay, deflect. Pag sinabi mo naman deflect, ibig sabihin, iniiba mo yung kanyang angle. Dinideflect mo. So, ito naman ang itsura ng deflection. Nangyayari ito lalo na kung malakas ang boses ng speaker na nandun siya sa stage. So, ganito nangyayari. Okay. Halimbawa, stage ulit. Or may speaker dyan. So, lagyan natin yung speaker natin nandyan. Tapos makikita nyo, meron dito na tinatawag na acoustic panel. Ganyan yan. Parang louver. So, halimbawa, pag tumama dyan, ang tendency niya ay, or sometimes mag-bounce kasi meron halimbawa harang. Pero halimbawa, dito, tumama dyan. Pag tumama dyan, pwede magpunta rito. Or tumama rito, nakikita nyo, bumabanda ang deflect. Dinideflect niya. So, anong tendency? Kasi minsan maingay. Alam niyo yung mga tao na maingay magsalita. Na kahit nasabi mo nang wala ng microphone, kaya niya bumato ng sound dyan sa pinakadulo. And then pagka ganyan, naiingayan sila. So, especially those audience na nandiyan sa area na yan. So, para hindi sila magkaroon ng talagang pagbingi, then you are deflecting the sound from the sound source. Nilalayo mo. So, kung lumayo man ito at mayroong recipient dyan, okay na kasi yung distance eh. Remember that sound, pag nagkakaroon ng distance, kumukupas, humuhulas ang tao nila. Okay? So, next natin. Okay. Ang echo, lagi na lang, definition of terms yan. So, ganito lang yun eh. Pag sinabi mo na with magnitude and delay, do not forget these two words, with magnitude and delay. Ano yan eh? Echo na eh. Definition of terms eh. Okay? So, ano naman ang resonance? Ang resonance, ito naman. Isama ko na number 6 sa octave. Okay. Resonance tayo. You're familiar with the tuning fork? Okay, ano ba ito? Tuning fork yan. Meron din siyang katabi. So, in strike ko to. Strike. Ito. In strike ko siya. I strike this. Anong mangyayari? Magkakaroon niya ng vibration. Okay? Mag-vibrate. Pag nag-vibrate yan at inabot niya to, ibig sabihin gagalaw dito yung tuning fork kasi napaka-sensitive. Okay? Napaka-sensitive niya. So, pagka rin ba na-hit niya to at nagkaroon din ng ganyan at nag-bounce back at ito, nagkaroon sila ng kumbaga movement because of the sound na nag-back and forth sa kanila, it means that it is resonating. Okay? That's the term. Resonating. Kaya resonance. Ngayon, ngayon kung nagkaroon ng ganyan. So, pag sa orchestra, example natin, may mga nag-cello, may nag-violin, meron naka-banjo, lahat ng string instruments na nandun sa orchestra. Pagka ito ngayon, sabi ng conductor, na, oops, ikaw malakas muna. So yung malakas na to, kumbaga meron din, sabihin na natin, okay, violin. Okay, pinalakas niya. So pinalakas niya, ibig sabihin para hindi mag-reflect yung ibang mga string instruments papunta sa kanya, bababa naman dapat yun. Tinaas niya, ibababa niya. Ibig sabihin para hindi mag-clash. Kasi hindi magandang resonation or resonating yun. Nagkakaroon ng tinatawag na cluster or clash ng different tones or different pitches or different frequencies. And hindi maganda magiging kalabasan ng orchestra in terms of the musical instruments. So hindi dapat sila naglalaban. Kaya doon sa illustration natin, yung dalawang tuning fork, siyempre ang tendency, pareho sila eh. Match na match eh. So ang nangyayari, okay, pandang tayo, chill lang tayo kasi pareho naman tayo. Pero halimbawa, cello, banjo, guitar, acoustics, tapos ng violin, eh iba-iba yung pitch ng mga to. Pagka sila nagsama-sama at sila ay pare-pareho ng lakas, magka-clash yan. Hindi magandang resonating yan. Nakita nyo na, yun ang ibig sabihin ng resonate or resonance, resonant, resonating. Okay, dami yung pangalan. Okay, so what is octave naman? Okay, the term octave, octa means 8. When we talk of a piano, okay, ang piano, alam natin, na meron siya na mga keys, ang tawag. And then, let's start with, halimbawa, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Okay? So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Which means, do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do. Ilan yan? 8. Okay, 8. That is what we call 1 octave. Kaya halimbawa sa piano, di ba? Ito yung mga low keys. Pagkadating na dito, high keys na to. High keys. So, ibig sabihin, pagka halimbawa na-kompleto mo itong isang octave na to, at lilipat na sa second octave, yung second octave mo ngayon, okay, would now have a frequency twice the frequency of the lower key. So, ang ratio is 1:2. Okay? Clear? So, diba ito ngayon? So, yun yung kanyang, diba, sa isang oscillator, ganito yung kanyang frequency. 220. So, pagdating sa next, magiging 440 siya. Pagdating na next, magiging 880 siya. So, it doubles. Okay? The frequency doubles as you go higher. So, yun ang ibig sabihin ng octave. Now, again, sinabi lang dito, so, ano definition natin ng octave? 8 keys in a piano, 8 keys in a note. Okay? Or a musical note. Yun lang yun. Do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do is 1 octave, and that's the meaning of octa. Okay? 8 notes, 8 keys in one series or one band. So, ito tinatawag natin na bandwidth. Okay? 1 octave is known as a bandwidth. Okay? Klaro po? So, moving on. Okay. So, here are questions again. Number 7. Sasabi ko na. What is the ratio of frequency to sound? So, the ratio of the frequency to sound is 1:2. As I've said. 220 to. Next na band, it will be 220 plus 220, 440. 440 plus 440, 880. So, nagkakaroon ng increase. And the increase is 1:2. Okay? Number 8. What is the perceptual characteristics of sound with high frequency? How do you hear high frequency? Di ba yung ay, boses ipis, boses lata, ganyan. Or ang kwan, masyadong matining. Yun ay ibig sabihin ng high frequency mo. So, when we talk of the perceptual characteristic, it is known to be a hissing sound. Okay? High frequency has hissing sound. Parang snake, hissing sounds. Ganyan. And if you have low frequency, it is what we call dagundong. So, ang dagundong naman ay booming sound. Clear? Then, what will happen to sound if it is in a long and narrow hallway? Simple lang po. Okay, so, teka. Para makita nyo yung question. What will happen to sound if it is in a long and narrow hallway? The answer there is letter A. Sound will bounce back and forth faster. Okay, nito yun. Assuming that we have a corridor. Plan muna tayo, plan. Corridor to. And this is our sound source. Ang sound source halimbawa natin, sabi na natin nagsalita or meron siyang isang bagay na nagbigay ng tunog. Ano mangyayari? Assuming that these walls are reflective walls. Pareho. Sorry, reflective wall. Kapag ito yung sound source mo, at nagkaroon ng bouncing, ayan, nakikita nyo. So, ibig sabihin, it is now bouncing back and forth, back and forth, back and forth sa wall. It might also happen when you look at, okay, hindi lang yan, halimbawa ito naman. O, lagyan natin ng tao. Okay, itong tao na to, halimbawa ay nagsasalita. So, nagsasalita, meron na sa wall, meron pa sa ceiling, at saka sa floor. So, pwedeng ganyan din. So, yung repetitive na reflection ng sound na to is now what we call flutter echo. Okay, that's the term. Flutter echo. Ang keyword sa flutter echo is, look at this. This is a corridor. In a narrow hallway, nangyayari to. And aside from that, nangyayari if you have the presence of too many reflective materials. Ayan. Okay, so do not forget that the keyword is back and forth, then it is known as flutter echo. So tingnan nyo, number 10. Sabi, in a long, narrow room, where would you best install acoustical materials? A, both sides, the longer side. B, both sides, the shorter side. C, ceiling. D, all sides. Ano answer natin? Kitang-kita yan eh. Ito plan ulit. So, kita mo, dalawang walls yan. Ito, section, floor, saka ceiling. So, kita no, kung maglalagay ka ng acoustic material dito, at maglalagay ka ng acoustic materials dito, mawawala yan. Hindi magkakaroon ng flutter echo. So, nagamot mo, hindi. Ito lumipat naman dito sa ceiling at saka sa floor. Nagamot mo nga yung wall, hindi mo naman nagamot yung ceiling at saka yung floor. So, lalagyan mo rin ng acoustic material. So, ano mangyayari? Letter D, all sides. Okay? Now, next naman natin is, the variation in pressure in a medium-like air is called, sound pressure. Okay? What is its effect on us? Kung kayo sumasakay ng airplane, high altitude or nasa bundok kayo or umaakyat kayo ng mas matataas na lugar, ano nangyayari sa inyo, di ba? May pagkabingi. Likewise, kung nasa ilalim ka ng dagat at lumalalim ka, so nagkakaroon kasi ng pressure, na pre-pressurize yung tenga mo. So pagka na-pre-pressurize ang tenga mo, ang tendency niyan ay magkaroon ka ng temporary deafness. Pagkabingi ba? Temporary deafness. So that's the effect on us. That's number 11. Okay? Now, this is not something na hindi na binibigay sa board exam. Okay? What is the frequency for 2 meter wavelength at 28,000 feet per second? Ano muna ang i-address mo dito? You have to change the 2 meters to feet or you have to change the 28,500 ft or feet per second sa meters. Since mas maliit yung 2, mas madali convert, yun na lang i-convert mo. So, halimbawa, if you are going for the frequency, ang frequency po kasi ay ganito. So, frequency ang hinahanap ha. Okay? So, frequency is equal to, tingnan nyo, 28,500 feet per second over 2 meters. Yan ang formula. Kaya lang, kailangan mo ang i-convert. And ito ngayon, ito tinatawag natin na wavelength. Kasi length ko, wavelength. At ito naman yung tinatawag natin na speed of sound niya or velocity. So, the frequency formula is F is equal to speed of sound over wavelength. Okay, ang wavelength, 2 meters, ang speed of sound, feet per second, 28,500. So, if you know mathematically the answer there, then you have already taken what is frequency. But I doubt na magkaroon pa ulit ng ganito. This is a very, very old na question from the board exam. So, galit tayo sa ating questions. Now, nakalagay, what is decibel? Decibel is the unit of sound level. Okay? Ang sound pressure level. Okay. Sinasabi na SPL is equivalent to sound level. Sound pressure level, this is sound level. Sound level, ang kanyang decibel. Ang kanyang unit is decibel. Okay, so unit of sound level to. It is also a logarithmic scale. Logarithmic scale ang tawag yan, decibel. Kasi deci means decimal. Okay? Kaya, to the 10th power, to the 100th power, yan mga log. Okay, log 10, halimbawa example. Yan, log 10. So, napaka-highfalutin yan. Hindi naman binibigay sa board exam. Well, this one is sound pressure level. Pag sinabi mo sound pressure level, it is now with a unit Pascal. But equivalent kasi, hindi ba? Pag ikaw nagbigay ng malakas na sound, halimbawa sa palakpak na lang. Okay, sa palakpak ganito. Okay? So, yun yung pressure eh. So, yung pressure na yun is equivalent to ano yung sound level na produce nun. Ikaw, di ba malakas yung sound pressure niya, sound pressure level. So, malakas din yung sound level. And that is measured now in decibel. Okay, clear? Now, okay, given graphs and illustrations, choose the application that has the best capacity to control medium range frequencies. Ang medium range frequencies, yung speaking voice mo. Yung nare-regulate mo, namomodulate mo. It is said that the best frequency for human speech is ranging from 350 to 700. Yun na po yun. Eh kasi nung binigay ito, graphs and illustrations, tatanungin sa'yo, o saan din ang medium frequency? So medium frequency is between 350 to 700. Okay? What about number 15? Amplifiers and speakers. From the word amplify palakasin mo. Okay? Amplify has something to do with magnitude. Clear? So amplifiers, speakers, halimbawa, you have a speaker. Ibang speaker naglalabas ng sound energy. Pero gusto mo pang i-boost. Talagyan mo ng amplifier. Yun lang naman. So it is amplifying or binuboost niya pa or pinapalakas niya pa. So yun lang naman ang ibig sabihin niya. Now, when you have now a microphone, microphone na yun, syempre booster din yung microphone mo with the speaker. Pagka ganyan na gumagamit ka ng speaker at meron kang microphone, ano tawag mo dyan? Syempre is letter A, electronic sound reinforcement. Clear? Ano natural sound reinforcement? When you are projecting your voice, nilalakasan mo na wala kang gadgets, wala kang microphone. Pero pag may gamit kang mga microphone or speakers, then is known as letter A, electronic sound reinforcement, and that's the answer. Okay. Next natin. Okay, again. Hindi na rin binibigay ito. 17 given thickness and transmission coefficient of RC wall, reinforced concrete wall, compute the transmission loss. So, ang transmission loss is ganito. Transmission loss is measured in STC. Okay? Sound transmission class, STC. Halimbawa, if I have here a reinforced concrete wall. Yan, sabihin natin, reinforced concrete yan. So, this is an RC wall. This is a sound source. Okay, halimbawa, ito na, yung sound. And, yung sound na yan, nakip niya dito. May lumabas. So, ibig sabihin, bigyan natin ng kanto ng example. 100 decibel, yung sound na napoproduce dito. Pumunta dito, lumabas dito is 52. Okay, 52 decibel. So, ibig sabihin, ang STC class or transmission loss ng inyong wall ay, ganito lang, 100 minus 52. So, you have now 8. Okay, and 9 minus 5 is 4. 48 ang STC ng RC wall. So, ano yung transmission loss? 48. Okay, clear. So, which is also now in relation to number 18. What is transmission loss? Now, 19 naman, location of insulation materials. Anong ibig niya sabihin ng location of insulation materials? In terms of the installation, location, di ba? Location of insulation material in terms of, tinatawag ba natin na, ang premise ba ng tanong ay kung na-install mo na? Because if you are to install insulation material, hindi po siya nakalabas. Naka-sandwich po siya sa loob ng wood. For example, if you have mineral wood, it is sandwiched between 2 plywood or double ply partition wall, meron ka sa loob, then that's insulation. Okay? If you have, for example, mga foam or tinatawag na egg crate foam, nilalagay doon. So, nasa wall. If you have, for example, flooring, okay? Flooring na ganyan. And sabihin na natin na meron kang gap. Sabihin na natin, may flooring ka dito, meron ka pa rin flooring na nilagay dito. Kung baga inipit mo, so may insulation ka dyan, pero hindi likely na nangyayari sa flooring yan because pagka ganyan, inaasa nila sa carpet. And carpet is at the outside. Hindi mo pwedeng sabihin yung carpet mo ay insulation material. It is an absorptive material, not an insulation because insulation is supposed to be within the interior of a wall or ceiling. Meron po? So yun yun. Now, 20, the transmission of sound along a curved surface. Ano yun? Okay. Along a curved surface, so meron tayong ganito. And it's a dome. Sorry, it's a dome. So pag halimbawa, this is the sound source, and this is the receiver, nandito, dome yan di ba may tao dito, may tao dito. So ang tendency niya ay, pumunta sa, mag-travel sa dome, at maririnig ito. Maririnig niya completely, because nag-travel, nag-rotonda effect na tinatawag. So, this is the clip, or tinatawag natin na rotonda effect. Okay, klaro po? So, next naman natin. Pag sinabi mong the power of sound, di ba pag pina-power on mo, so pinapakyat mo, pagka pina-power on mo, ano nangyayari? Nagkakaroon ng A, volume. Clear? Next natin. Magnitude. Di ba? Sa earthquake na lang, isipin nyo. Earthquake na magnitude. Pagka ganun, ang lagi mo sinasabi, ina-associate mo siya sa term na intensity. Okay? Intensity. So magnitude is also intensity. And what is the subjective term for frequency? We have low frequency, medium frequency, high frequency. It is also known as low pitch, high pitch, medium pitch. Pitch is frequency. The subjective term for frequency is pitch. Ano naman ang loudness? Loudness is amplifying. Amplifier, loudness. Okay? Clear. So 25, what is the best way to reduce airborne sound? Siyempre, letter B. Use absorptive materials. Alam nga naman, i-relocate mo yung building. Ayop ka. Diba? So, sorry. I-relocate mo yung building. Ay, may dito. Oh, binunot yung building. Buti sana kung Lego yung mga yan So, ayun po. Use absorptive materials. And then 26. For music hall with a lot of audience, what is the best flooring material? Siyempre, nakaka-absorb. Okay. Now, you have two absorptive materials here. Carpet tiles and wood planks. But then, assume natin, huwag lang isang consideration tingnan mo. Maraming tao, tapos nung naka-carpet ka, maintenance yan. Okay? Pangalawa, carpet tiles yan. So, minsan pagka napupuno na siya na absorptivity, umaalsa yan, umaangat. And wood planks, mas lumalaban. So, wood planks has this fiber, and this fiber converts sound energy to heat energy. Kaya nga, ang flowing mo, pagkakahoy at lalo na nasa mga bedroom, may sa paa because they absorb heat. Sound energy, when in touch with the wood, is now converted to heat energy. Yun. So, here comes number 27. Pinagsasabong dito yung stone rock, wool mineral wool, and glass mineral wool. They are two very similar yet different products. Stone mineral wool is made from volcanically originated stone. Example, dolomite, diabase, and basalt. Glass mineral wool is made of sand and glass slab. The production process is similar. Raw materials melted at high temperature until it is molten, then it is spun into fibers using centrifugal wheels, from which the final product is made slabs of stone or glass mineral wool. As an architect, you should know the subtle difference between these materials in order to provide better service to your clients. So, kung gagamit ka raw between stone wool and mineral wool, which will you use for structures that require high fire protection? Mas mataas pong high fire protection na stone wool. Okay, ano reference to? Pumunta ka lang sa brochure, makikita mo yan. Meron siyang tinatawag na high temperature rating. So, if it has a high temperature rating, it goes to say that letter B is also stone wool. Okay, which is better in protecting boilers, high working temperature. So, nag-limit lang yung A and B. Letter C, which has a higher tensile strength. Lang yung glass mineral wool is also used for the production of fiberglass. Yung fiberglass po, nakikita nyo diba sa nag-gymnast, yung uneven bars, nakikita nyo yung flexible na yun na pinagbabarasan ng mga gymnast. That is fiberglass. And fiberglass is a product of stone of glass mineral wool. So, ibig sabihin, mas matibay siya, mas malakas ang tensile strength niya. Therefore, letter C is glass mineral wool. Clear? Next. Okay, do nails affect the sound absorption quality of plywood nailed to wood studs? The answer is yes. Why? Ganito lang po yun. Pagka meron kang wall, sabihin na natin, itong wall na to, kahit sabihin mo pang absorptive yan. Tapos nalilibaw, meron kang mga pamakuan. Okay? And then syempre, mapupuno yan. Alam natin, mapupuno yan ng mga okay, depende kung anong pakong gagamitin. So, halimbawa yan. Kahit nasabihin mo yung bilog na yan, ay napakaliit. Lahat yan, lahat ng bilog na yan, lalo na kung malaki yung ulo ng pako mo, is a source of reflection. Diba? Magre-reflect yan. So, even if you have this, pero kung meron ka naman ito, yung maliliit na yan, yan pang makakabigay sa'yo ng reflection na hindi mo nalalaman. Kaya yung iba, halimbawa, hindi sila naglalagay ng ulo. Alam niyo yun, yung walang ulo ng pako, tapos lalagyan nila ng masilya para walang reflection kasi metal yun. So, ibig sabihin, yes, depending on the size and spacing of the nails, puro yan magbibigay ng reflection. Okay? So, hindi siya nakaka-absorb, remember, so nagre-reflect siya. Now, syempre, it goes to say, the number 29, which is complementing number 28, from the situation above, what would affect the sound transfer? Syempre, the spacing of the studs and the airspace. Okay, kasi halimbawa, may airspace to. Sabi na natin, may airspace. Halimbawa, may ganyan. This is now the airspace ito. Halimbawa, may plywood din dyan. Okay, that's the airspace. Klaro po? Okay, tapos na number 30, a limp fabric. A limp fabric can be a good absorber if A, tacked to edges and allowed to hang loose, B, fastened on edges and must have a tight seal. So, perhaps hindi na kayo familiar sa ganito kasi this is about the speaker. So, hindi ba yung speaker nyo, halimbawa? Sa ngayon, nakikita ninyo, yung speaker ninyo ay, yan. Minsan nakikita nyo may metal, di ba? Okay, yan yung pinakapan niya, pinakatakip niya. Bakit ganyan? So, prinsipyo ng diffraction yan, kanina. Pero noong unang panahon, ang speaker po ay may tela. Kung meron kayong mga matatandang appliances na, ayan o, may tela yan eh. Tela. So, yung speaker nandun may tela. So, nakikita nyo na talagang fasten on edges and must have a tight seal. Kasi, kumbaga, sa isang speaker also na nakikita nyo may screen. Yung screen na yan, nakaka-filter. Okay, nakaka-filter na sa nakakapagpababa ng sound kasi ang dami niyang pinuntahan na maliliit na pores eh. So, ganun din yung nangyari dun sa tela. Ito. So, yung speaker nyo ngayon, instead na, halimbawa, yung parang wasak yung sound, parang siyang buo because it is now tackled, it is now having a tight seal, na ginagawa niya ngayon na buo yung sound mo pag lalabas from the speaker. So, parang ang purpose ng mga to filter. Samantalang yung bago ngayon, ang purpose is diffracting, lessen. Ito, more of talagang i-diffuse niya yung dating na sound coming from the speaker. Okay, so what's the answer there? Ang answer, mas maganda kung fasten on edges and must have a tight seal. Okay? Next. Most effective material against echo. Obvious po ba na heavy curtain sa proscenium? Diba? So, naalala nyo na unang panahon. Pagka meron tayong sabihin na natin, stage. Stage. Tapos ito yon, yung curtain. Diba? Heavy curtain yan. Ito audience mo, kahit anong gulo yan, dahil sa heavy curtain yan, hindi mo naririnig ng audience yan. And then minsan dito sa ating wall, both side, makikita nyo na meron din yan draperies. Okay, draperies, heavy drapes, heavy curtain, mga ganyan. Heavy fabric. Kasi nung binigay sa board exam to, iniiba lang nila eh. Heavy drapery, heavy curtain, heavy fabric. Yun yung mga three terms na ginamit nila. So, basically, pare-pareho lang yan. Kaya, the answer there is, of course, letter B, heavy curtain. And tingnan nyo, yun na, what interior elements controls echo? So, yun din yun, heavy drapery. See? Words lang eh. Kaya yung iba, limbawa, sabihin na natin, nakaka-core naman yung mga photographic ang memory. They can really remember all of those words that are placed on a paper. Pero when you want them to analyze it, hindi nila ma-analyze. Naka-imprint lang sa kanila word for word. Pero hindi pwede, halimbawa, next mo, iniba mo. Pag iniba mo, iba ng line of thinking niya. Akala niya iba na yung question. Pero din yun, same banana. Heavy curtain, heavy drapery. Clear? Okay. If noise is coming from a large hallway, what is the solution? Of course, ano na naman, ang lalagay natin, if noise is coming from a large hallway, what is the solution? Okay? Dalawa ang pwede dito. Dalawa, textured flooring and B, curtains. Ano kaya ang mas maganda dito? So, pag sinabi mong textured flooring, pwedeng carpet to. And good, better, best ang datingan dito. Siyempre, yung textured flooring, which is carpet, mas absorptive sa curtain mo. So, secondary na curtain dito, the answer here is letter A, textured flooring. Okay? Now, what is the definition of insulation? What is the definition of absorption? Okay? Bigyan natin ng ganitong illustration again. Ay, sorry. Wala. Teka. Balik ko ah. I'm talking banana, you're not seeing it. Okay? So, if noise is coming from large hallway, what is the solution? Dalawa nga, pwede rito, either textured flooring or curtains. But then, mas maganda ang textured flooring because it's carpet. Yun ang sinasabi niya, textured flooring is carpet or carpet tiles. Ang curtain mo, sa lawahan nito eh. Kasi, what curtain is this? Heavy ba? Yun yung sinabi, walang definition ng heavy. Curtain na sinabi niya, mali mo yung sinasabing curtain dyan is manipis. So, we do not know the characteristic kasi hindi niya binigyan ng characteristic. Ito, nilagyan niya ng characteristic, textured. So, ibig sabihin, carpeted to. Ay, may fabric to. So, that's the answer. Insulation definition. Okay, ito tayo. Now, assuming that I have brick. Okay, brick to ah. This is now drywall. Okay, brick, drywall. Drywall is a gypsum board. Okay, now, this is the sound source. This is the sound wave. Okay, tingnan nyo. And, ano napansin nyo? When you have a brick, at hindi na lumabas yung sound, at kinit niya, so we call it now, remember this is sound energy. When in contact with the surface, is now known as heat energy. At yan, pag nakip niya, tinatawag natin na nagkaroon siya ng thermal storage, kasi may heat, thermal storage. Hindi lumabas, hindi sumingaw, brick is an insulated material. So yan ang ibig sabihin insulation. Now, pagkalimbawa ito drywall. Drywall, napansin nyo na meron, inabsorb nito, pero meron siyang pinakawalan. Pero yung pinakawalan niya is lesser na in terms of sound level. So, may nakalabas pa rin. Diba? So, nung lumabas yan, ang term dyan ay absorption. Okay? So, may lumabas pa rin. Absorption. Walang lumabas, insulation. Itindihan po. And, what else can you say about the two? Sometimes nakakatulong din yung thickness para lalo siya maging insulative. Kaya kung napapansin niyo yung mga acoustic walls, yung talaga po sinabi acoustic walls hindi lang isang wall yan. Ang daming series ng nilalagay na mga insulative materials or panels para makip niya. So that is now insulating it. Okay? Now, tingnan nyo on a similar discussion. If you place an insulation foam, yung may silver sa may foam sa inyong bubong, ano nangyayari? Wala yung radiation, walang singaw yan. Kundi, it is keeping it there kasi nga insulative siya. So may thermal storage. Yung mga ganong klase ng mga foam insulation. Clear? Kaya tinawag na foam insulation. Now, so yun na. And now, in terms of acoustics, arrange the following materials from best to worst. Ano yung best? Best to absorb, worst because it is not absorbing. Obviously, looking at all of this, ano yung una? Okay, so syempre, bricks muna, the best. Then, susunod ano? Okay, susunod ay wood. Naka-absorb. Susunod ay concrete. Tapos CHB, medyo hollow. Glass. So nakikita nyo, bricks, wood, concrete, CHB, glass is the worst because it is not absorbing, it is reflecting. Okay? Number 36, which is the best drywall to keep the noise outside from entering the room. It must have this, tinatawag natin na pocket, na dun maglilinger, na walang obstruction or walang balakid yung sound energy. So the best would be letter A. Okay, bakit letter A? Kasi free-flowing yung sound, kaya nagkaroon siya ng sound pocket doon. Kung letter B titingnan nyo at meron siya kasing pamakuan, ang tendency is i-vibrate niya yan. Okay? Pagka doon naman sa letter C, ang tendency is i-reflect niya, so may bouncing, so meron ding vibration. Eh dito sa part na to, sa letter A, makikita niyo free-flowing, so doon lang siya lumuluga, doon sa area niya. So it's known as the sound pocket. Okay? Next. Use to eliminate noise from flooring. Okay? Ano po? Use to eliminate noise from flooring. Install carpet, curtains, AW panels. Well, dalawang laging answer sa ganito. Okay? Pwede halimbawa, na carpet ka kung walang wood. Kung merong wood, wood ang una mong gagamitin na material, not carpet. Because carpet is high maintenance, wood is low maintenance. So here, noise from flooring. Kaya mas maganda na wood sana. However, here in these choices, walang wood. So ang gamit mo ngayon, carpet. Okay? Clear tayo ha? Eh paano kung may wood yan? Eh di gamitin ko wood. Paano kung walang wood? Di gamitin ko carpet. Here. So, 38, a showroom with an industrial look is having problem with acoustic. What should you propose? Hindi ba, pag mga industrial na areas, halimbawa, sabi na natin showroom ng kotse. Di ba nakikita nyo minsan, may mga truss, wala na siyang kisame. Siyempre, pag ganyan, lalo na showroom yan. And therefore, from labas, nakikita mo, di ba, yung mga kotse naka-display. And therefore, glass yan, which is reflective, tapos reflective din yung mga bakal. Di medyo may ingay na kanya, na maproproduce. What will you do? Okay. Have you heard of the term acoustic cloud? Okay, acoustic cloud is like this. Halimbawa, floor, ceiling, sabi na natin yan, yung mga truss. Okay. And then, from there, alam niyo to, yung mga, minsan may mga panels na ganyan. Na nilalagay. Na hindi niya na kinover lahat ng ceiling. So, yung tinatawag natin na ganito, anong purpose niya? Can deflect sound. Number 2 is, of course, low maintenance kasi hindi na enterong kisame ang kinover niya. So, itong mga to, na iba't iba ang height, can also now control different types of frequency, whether low, medium, or high. Therefore, itong mga to na nilagay is what we call the acoustic clouds. Okay? Yan. Diba? Nakakita tayo ng ganyan eh. Kaya uso na ngayon yung ganyan kaysa entero na i-cover mo. So at the same time, it creates something like aesthetics. Parang nakikita mo, ay patch-patch yan sa iba't ibang lugar. So nagkakaroon siya ng tinatawag na repetition, na rhythm, kaya iba't iba yung heights. And it is now giving an aesthetic look to the industrial looking na showroom. Okay? So, number 39. 38. Tama pala. 39. What is the best acoustical treatment for ceiling? Of course, gypsum. Lagi naman yan eh. Gypsum board. It's always gypsum board. Then, 40. How do you prevent sound from spreading between two adjacent rooms? Gamitan mo ng absorptive materials, the one with the STC or sound transmission class. How do you prevent sound from reverberating between floors? Gamitan mo ng mga carpet or gamitan mo ng wood na absorptive materials. So, yun na po yun. Diba? And doon lang po kasimple. So, again, huwag masyado. Doon pa rin kayo sa plumbing at saka sa inyong electrical. Ito pa rin yung dalawa na dapat na bigyan ng pansin. Nakikita nyo naman, siguro kayang-kayang sagutan tong 41 items na to about acoustics. You can just say that hindi siya ganun kahirap. It is just common sense and definition of terms. Okay? So, okay matapos sa part na yan. Klaro? Okay. So, tapos na po yung ating acoustics. Okay. Continue our discussion. This time, mga questions about lighting to. And of course, also taken from previous board examination questions. So, let's start with this. What's luminous flux? Lumen. It's like a unit of luminous flux. So, 1 lumen, kung nakikita nyo yung ilaw dun sa bombilya, ang ini-emit niya is the luminous flux. So, pagka nag-emit siya ng luminous flux, ang unit na ginagamit lumen. Okay, so 1 lumen is luminous flux of light produced by light source, which is the bulb, that emits 1 candela of luminous intensity over a solid angle of 1 stereo jet. So, huwag na natin pagka-complex pa. Pinupunto lang dito, basta nagsin dito, ang binibigay niya kagad is a luminous flux, which is with a unit na lumen. Total, ang question lang naman is 1 lumen, not really taken in the more technical way. So, next is, yun, kita nyo. So, dito, produced by light source, emits 1 candela. Backup lang, the measured brightness of a light source or a luminous surface equal to the luminous intensity per unit protected area of the source or surface viewed from a given direction. So, ang punto, like what I said, contextual clues. Luminous intensity lang titingnan mo dito and you know that the answer would be still lumen. Wattage. Dalawa ang tingin mo sa wattage. Pwede siyang, you're looking at electrical aspect or punta naman tayo sa sound. So, if you talk of wattage, in the acoustics, it's known as the unit of sound power. And if you talk of the wattage sa electrical, when we use electrical components or electrical appliances, we normally use kilowatt-hour. So, it's a unit of electrical consumption, wattage, watts, etc. So, yun. A watt is a measure of electrical power. As an amplifier, alam niyo yung amplifier processes sound, the output is measured in watts. Yung kung ano yung lakas na narinig mo. Okay? Yung output niya. So, what is foot candle? Joke. Okay? Hindi literal na kandila na paa. Ito ang tunay na foot candle. Okay. So, as you look at the brilliance ng isang kandila lang, yung ningas niya. Kasi sinabi mo isang kandila lang yan. So, isang lumen yan. Tapos, meron siyang distansya na 1 foot sa surface na iilawan mo. Okay? Ngayon, yung foot candle na yun is measured dun sa surface. Kaya pagka measure mo sa surface, 1 square foot surface area, what foot candle is equal to 1 lumen sa isang square foot. Okay? Yun ang brightness na natanggap niya. So, halimbawa, dumarami yung walls mo, dumarami ngayon yung iyong surface, tapos kandila mo isa lang, di mahinang-mahina na yung bato. Pero pagka dito, nakita nyo, 1 foot candle is equal to 1 lumen per square foot. Medyo merong dating in terms of the brightness. Pero, again, kandila is kandila. So, yun na yung reason bakit nilalagyan natin ng intensity yung ilaw, yung source natin, para lalo pang lumakas yung kanyang lumen or luminous intensity. Okay? Light reflection. So, mga topics lang muna nakikita nyo ngayon ha. Occurs when a ray of light approaches a smooth surface and bounces back. That is what we call specular reflection. Kasi the angle of incidence is equal to the angle of reflection. Equal yan. Kasi smooth. Or napaka-linaw. Or sabihin na natin, mirror effect. So magbabounce. Pero pagka dumaan yung light sa isang rough or textured, nagkakaroon siya ng dispersal or nag-scatter siya. And when that is scattered, we call it a diffuse. So pagka ganyan, diffuse reflection naman. Okay, ang tanong niya is direct and indirect lighting. So pagka direct and indirect lighting, it's known to be part of what we call methods of light disbursement. So, pagka ganyan, ang titingnan mo kagad dyan is yung kasama pa. Hindi naman direct at saka indirect lighting lang yan. So mangyayari, titingnan mo ngayon what is direct light, what is indirect light, what is semi-direct, what is semi-indirect, what is diffuse. Okay, so nakikita natin sa illustration, mas madaling tingnan kagad. Lahat pababa pag direct. Lahat pataas pag indirect. Pagka semi-direct, mas pinagbibigyan niyo yung bato sa baba kaysa sa taas. Pagka semi-indirect, mas marami sa taas kaysa sa baba. Pagka diffuse, ayun naman scattered everywhere the same. So yun ang po yun. Types of lighting. So, hindi niya sinabi, topic lang. So, naglagay tayo dito, the 3 basic types of lighting. And in this illustration, let's start with the natural light. Natural light is of course yung araw mo. Okay? So, yung araw na yan, na nagbibigay sa atin ng ilaw, na natural, ay huwag mong ikumpara sa loob na pang-interior na. Okay? Once na pumasok sa loob, it is somewhat similar or may imimimik yan ng tinatawag na general lighting. Okay? Sometimes known as the day lighting. Now, pagka ganyan, in this illustration, tingnan nyo although wala itong accent lighting, kasi yung accent lighting, meron siyang focus sa isang, sabihin na natin object, or sabihin na natin painting or sculpture. So, binibigyan niya ng accent. Accentuation means, binibigyan niya ng buhay, hindi lang yung binatuhan mo ng ilaw. So, meron siyang mga shades, may shadow, effect siya, that's accenting. So, pag sinabi mo general lighting, it's the ambient light. Ano yung natatanggap mong light? Now, sometimes an ambient can be the surround light. Let's say, meron kang chandelier, tapos may pin light ka, tapos binuksan mo lang yung chandelier. So, yun ang general lighting doon sa area mo. Pagka limbawa, binuksan mo naman yung pin light, well, nagkaroon pa ka ng added general lighting. So, yun naman, yung pin light mo becomes the ambient lighting. Kasi, mayroong primary, which is the chandelier. Yun, ambient, surround. Pero pag pinag-combine mo, that is known to be your general light. Now, cast lighting is on a particular work area or work surface. May cast involved. Yun ang dapat mong ilawan. Kaya tinatawag siyang specific task lighting. So, in this illustration, you can say drafting board, and there's the task light na nakatuon lang, nakababa siya sa work plane. Okay, work plane. So, yung mismong ginagalawan ng tayo sa workstation at yung binabatuhan ng ilaw is known as the work plane. So, it's being tasked. The other one, computer. So, nasa keyboard niya lang, nakatutok doon para makita niya lang ano yung key. Minsan kasi may mga tao yung talaga marunong pa, baka depende pa rin visually sa mga keys. So, yun naman yung task doon. Now, at the end of the day, sabihin na natin pinatay mo na yung ilaw mo sa drafting table or pinatay mo na yung ilaw mo doon sa computer area mo. Ano natira? The general lighting, which is the ambient lighting. Okay, so yun na po yun. Here. Okay, what kind of light is used at the balcony? We look at the balcony to be a viewing area. We look at the balcony to be an extension of our house. Sometimes we rest there, sometimes for view. So sometimes, being external, medyo nag-play siya sa pasading mo. Kaya depende kung paano mo siya nilagyan ng ilaw sa gabi. Minsan, balcony lang nagbibigay ng certain ambience sa front elevation mo or sa exterior mo. And therefore, what we do is we place pin light, diba? So pag naglagay ka ng pin light, ayun, nabubuhay. Pag umaga, hindi mo halos makita yung ganda, pero pag gabi, nagkakaroon siya ng accent eh. So the best way to light your balcony is by way of a pin light. Katulad nito, drumama lang gusto, pin light ang labanan. Diba? Now, so, in a similar question, where would you recommend using pin light with glass cover? Yung glass cover kasi yun yung kanyang pang-diffuse. Kasi minsan kung masyadong intense, nagiging downlight. Kung nilagyan mo ng diffuser, so medyo nagkakaroon ng konting subtleness or nadi-diffuse na konti. Of course, again, when you place that, outdoor application, balcony, main entry, para may accent ba na tama dun sa area na gusto mong ilawan. Next, direct lighting. Pababa yan that emphasizes an area. So, inangle niya, direct lighting dun na. Emphasizes an area or an object in a room, thereby adding drama or style by highlighting certain aspects. Is known to be, what? Ayan, tulad nito, drama siya dun sa painting. So, every time na nag-walk ka, natutuon yung pansin mo kasi ina-accent niya o ina-emphasize niya. Okay? Kadali nga lang po tatanggalin ko ng itong maingay na to. Okay, sige. So, accent lighting Next. Lighting that calls attention, yun naman. So, in-emphasize. Still, accent lighting. Kaya, may I repeat paulit-ulit yung marinig sa akin to. Contextual cues. Attention. Okay, emphasizes. Mga ganyan. Then, what is a good lighting for a curved ceiling with wavy design? Wavy. So, syempre, yung pagkakalagay mo lang ng wave, medyo may drama na. And at the same time, gusto mong ma-emphasize kung paano siya nag-wave. So, ano pinakamaganda? Indirect lighting at the base of the curve. Para makita mo yung light and shade, light and shade, light and shade ng kurba. Okay. Ito pare-pareho kasi, kaya inaccumulate ko na sa slide. Number 13, 14, 15, 16. Local lighting. Okay? For a particular task. Basta may task. Okay? Specific task lighting. So, number 14, nakalagay lang naman specific task lighting. Nagbabasa ka, so doon na sa binabasa mo, so task na naman. Reading again, so letter C, specific task lighting. Again, ulit pa, 17 and 18. Reading area or room, working area or room, specific task lighting. So, medyo skeptic lang ako sa number 18 kasi wala siyang choice. Kaya nga nilagyan ko ng situation, if the work requires a work thing, yung may nakatutok. Kasi, baka naman sabihin work area, hindi naman pala ganun katindi ang kailangan ng ilaw, so pwede mo sabihin general lighting. But, again, since ang previous na pupunta sa task lighting, therefore, the most likely answer is specific task lighting. Okay, where would be the most practical location for a daylight source to be used on work table? Kasi tutok mo. Okay, like this, on top of the work table. So, dito makikita nyo, meron siyang task at saka meron siyang ambient. Okay, so nakatutok lahat ito. Kasi kung yung talagang pagtutuunan mo ng pansin, most practical, work table, so sinabi, workstation, then it is obvious to say on top of the work plane. Okay, kasasabi ko rin kanina dito, what is the angle spotlight for walls and paintings? So, naka-angle siya ng 20 to 30 degrees. Kasi pag naka-angle ng 20 to 30 degrees, okay, mas nakikita yung color, yung gradation, yung hue. So, very nice to look at yung painting pagka ganyan. Once kasi na nilagyan mo na ng fluorescent ang painting, parang walang effect. Pero pag may gradation because of the angle, ayun, nabubuhay. Lalo mo na-appreciate yung art. What type of switch has a pilot lamp that allows it to be seen in the dark? Alam mo naman yung pag pinapatay mo, may konti pa ring ilaw para ma-detect mo pagod kung nasaan. So, the answer there is what? There, illuminated switch. Okay. What is used to create contrast and control the light intensity? So, lumalakas ang ilaw, hihinang ilaw, lumalakas ang ilaw, humihinang ilaw. Alam niyo na yan. So, the answer there is dimmer. So, vary the brightness of lights by decreasing or increasing the RMS voltage to vary the intensity of the light output. Okay, so that's a dimmer. What type of advantage of a filament lamp over a discharge lamp? Kasi ang discharge lamp malalakas ang kanilang wattage consumption. And maliwanag talaga. So, ang pangliwanag ng filament is yung filament niya mismo, doon nagbabagal, doon nag-ilaw. Ang discharge lamp, marami siyang parte to brighten or magkaroon pa ng mas malakas na illumination. So, katulad ng sinabi ko nga kanina, doon sa ating LPS track light na LPS. Minsan ginagamitan yung mga HID, so talagang tutok. Pero para ma-break naman, nilalagyan nila ng multifaceted na reflection MR. So HID lamps are used primarily in applications where the most critical factor is creating as much visible light per watt as possible. So malakas, mahina lang ang filament nyo. So, kung ang gamit mo naman spotlight or tinatawag, kaya ang follow spot follow spot sa powerful stage lighting instrument which projects a bright beam of light onto a performance space. So, ang gumagamit ng ang ginagamit ng spotlight sa mga HID, malalakasan para makita talaga yung object, makita yung performer. Eh, ang filament lang po, mahina lang. Okay? So, these are the parts. Again, for the incandescent, we rely heavily on the filament niya. And for this HID, the technology is meron siyang visible light coming from the tungsten electrode which is in a tube. Hindi siya naka-filament. Okay? So, yun yung buhay niya. And that's where you see most of the light emittance. Okay? Okay, dito na siguro pwede na tayo magbasa by your own. So, CFL of course is the upgrade of the fluorescent na ngayon ay na-overwhelm na ng LED. However, marami pa rin gumagamit ng CFL for obvious reason that LED still priced sa market. At saka mas malakas ang ilaw talaga ng compact fluorescent. Pero sa bulag yan eh. Hindi ka makatingin ng matagalan sa CFL kasi sa sobrang brightness niya. Samantalang if you look at an LED, kaya. So, yun ang difference between the LED and CFL. Okay, so it provides you 80% savings in consumption and emits bright light. And that would be now the characteristic of CFL. Where would you recommend using CFL? So, general lighting. Ito ba, katulad ng example natin kanina, gusto mo lang naman magkaroon ng ilaw. So, general lighting. Kasi, minsan, mas gusto mong bright ang isang area, diba? Especially when you're working. So, might as well go for the white light kasi nasabi, and CFL, fluorescent, ito yung mga white light, hindi nakaka-antok. So, for general lighting yan. Okay, what type of lamp is best used for car parts, especially sa gabi, na gusto mo mailawan, nakaka-deceive kasi ang warm white, yung dilawin. Hindi mo makita talaga yung true nature of the color. So, if I go outdoor or indoor, it is best that I use the white light, which is produced by HPS. So, looking at this illustration, yung first illustration, yung madilaw-dilaw, is using LPS. Yan ang characteristic ng LPS, madilaw. Samantalang HPS, maputi. Okay? What kind of light is best for outdoor parking? Sasabi ko lang, high intensity discharge HPS or high pressure sodium. At saka mas may psychological effect. Yung alam mo maliwanag, yung alam mo na walang naglo-lurk na masamang tao. Ganun din sa mga indoor car parks, lalo na paggabi. Yung ikaw na lang mag-isa yung naglalakad doon. Nakakatakot. Tapos ang kukunti ng ilaw nilalagay. So, it's better for you to be brightened up by HPS or high pressure sodium. Okay, pang billboard. Pag bumato, puti because it provides you the true nature of the product being advertised. So, lighting is extensive in signages and utilize high electrical wattage is a family of the HID known as the MH. Ano yung MH? Metal halide. Okay? And banned by the government because of the light intensity na nag-cross na sobrang lakas niya. That it creates now that intensity which also affects the atmosphere which is now known as light pollution. Okay? So, the answer to that is metal halide. Okay? So, kung titignan niyo sa baba, okay, light pollution, the light is so bright that it produces much more light pollution than HPS or LPS. Okay? So, next. On what kind of project is the daylight lamp best suited? So, daylight is yung maputi, malakas na ilaw. Siyempre, if you're working and you want that, nakita mo na, baka matahi mo yung daliri mo. So, dapat bright light or white light yan. And therefore, mas magandang daylight lamp sa mga textile manufacturing. What is used to intensify light? Intensify means paintingin pa, palakasin mo pa, padamihin mo pa yung efficacy ng ilaw. So, the way to do that, to intensify, is by the use of reflector. So, yung may nakikita yung mga bumbilya na may mga silver or para siyang may silver lining, that's in the family of the reflector lights. Okay? PAR versus MR. PAR is parabolic aluminized reflector. MR is this, multifaceted reflector. So, as I said kanina, sinasabi ko na, ayan, meron siyang mga iba't iba na mga, sabihin na natin, grids, ang tawag nila doon. So, doon nagre-reflect. Okay? Now, rineg-reflect niya sobra. Kaya gumagamit ka nito kasi sobrang lakas. And then PAR, malakas din yan, pero yung PAR, which is now parabolic aluminized reflector lamp, na ginagamit sa mga headlamps, aircraft landing lights, is like this. So, tingnan mo, para i-break niya sobrang lakas, meron siyang mga diffuse part doon sa kanyang pinaka-glass surface. Okay? So, that's the difference ha. PAR versus MAR. Ay, this is MAR. Sorry. This is the MAR and this is the PAR. Okay. What is the effect of ambient lighting to occupants? Okay. Do you talk of it as a secondary source? Kasi yun yata yung pinupunto ng question na to. So, ambient lighting is somewhat similar to diffuse lighting. And it provides you somberness. Nananahimik ka. Okay? So, this is somber lighting. Okay. Nakikita nyo, although overwhelming siya sa loob ng isang area, hindi naman isang area lang. So, surround. So, it is now being diffused. Para mag-settle ng konti, mag-break yung sobrang intensity. And a follow-up question to that is, light-defying somberness is the diffuse lighting. Okay? So, although general, ambient. Pero, if again, pertaining to the surround, kasi ambient is surround also, so diffuse lighting yan. Oh, sasabi ko lang kanina, type of light used in Panaflex. Fluorescent lang yan, nasa loob. Ayan o. Okay, ito yung satin acrylic diffuser niya. So pagkagabi, hindi mo nakikita yung tatlong fluorescent, kundi nakikita mo spread evenly dun sa kanyang satin acrylic diffuser na diffuse niya. And these are some lighting fixtures. And we can see that iba't iba to, iba't iba purpose. So, tingnan natin yung question. From the figures above, identify letter A. Ang letter A natin ay yung unang-una. At saan nilalagay ito sa floor. So, this is a ground light. Okay? Yan. And then, from the figures above, letter A is usually found, kasasagutan natin, at the floor. And this is extensively used to highlight the landscape elements. Minsan kasi pataas yung ilaw para kahit na gabi, mga plantitos, mga nabusang term ngayon, nabibigyan ng buhay yung surrounding, yung landscape features mo because of these lights. So, we call them the in-ground lights, katulad nito. And from the figures above, identify letter B. So, babalikan pa natin, nandiyan na sa inyo just to show you na pinapakita is the compact fluorescent lamp, that's the B, CFL bulb. And identify letter C, what is C? So, ito yung may mga linya sa tagiliran, it emits a certain temperature, kaya siya naglalagay, para siyang louver. So, that would be now your LED. That's the feature of LED right now, light emitting diode lights. Okay, sasabi ko lang ito kanina, na-explain ko, because of the silver lining, it tends to scatter evenly the light At hindi lang isang tao na kikinabang, kundi 2 to 3 people, especially sa mga production area. So, letter D is known to be the thrower light. Okay? Ayan. So, isa pang example ng thrower, which is now, again, production area. Alam na natin yan. And thrower, again, saan ginagamit? Of course, working. And why do we use downlight or pin light in stores? To emphasize a particular product na minsan kasi pagka puro lang white light, hindi mo napapansin. Hindi ka, it's just passing by. So, pag nilagyan mo siya ng ganitong ilaw, tumoko sa kanya, naka-down siya, downlight siya, nakita yung product. So, it creates that drama. So, it's more for dramatic effect. Okay? The more dramatic it is, the more appealing to a person, the more na bibili niya. Identify the cove light from the given illustrations. Normally, cove light is part of what we call the indirect lighting kasi sa kisame siya nakatuon. And then, sometimes we place it sa ceiling to create that ambient lighting and create aesthetics dun sa ating iniilawan. So, for that part, cove light is a form of indirect lighting that the lenses uses as surveillances in the ceiling or high on the walls of a room. It may use as a primary lighting or for aesthetic accent. Okay, cove lighting hides the fixtures and provides a very even warm light. So, okay, so general lighting is general illumination, accent is for pictures, yan yung mga keywords na kailangan natin. And, may answer na dito. So, in-emphasize lang, an indirect lighting directed upward. Okay, upward, cove lighting na. And, a type of lighting where light is directed both up and down. Kasi parang siyang strip ng wood, meron sa ilaw sa taas, meron sa baba. So, nakaka-achieve na is what we call the valence. Has the most effect on light in a room. Color. Bakit? Nakadepende. Madilim ang iyong wall. Okay? Madilim din yung ambience. Malight ang color ng paint mo. Mas liliwanag naman. Diba? So, yun yun eh. So, still on the color. Okay? Now, looking at these two illustrations, sinabi niya from the figure below, sa left muna tayo, which lighting position is best, yun nakatutok on top of the work thing. Para kita niya sa workstation niya, sa task niya, yung trabaho niya. And which lighting darkest the material? Lumayo natin yung letter D. So, that would create now the darkness. Okay? So, hindi na maganda. Medyo may laban na, nakaka-eye strain. And kung gusto mo mag-glare, coming from here, sabi niya ganun dun sa pinaka task mo. And then, the tendency, especially when that's a glossy material, is mag-reflect sa'yo. Ganun dati. So, E would be the likely position where it is causing direct glare. Okay, here, isa lang naman ang kailangan nyo na, the word. Okay, what is that? Finish housing is exposed. Exposed, hindi nakatago. Okay, not flash. And what is that? It's a surface-mounted light. Okay, kung may recess, may surface-mounted naman. And where would you recommend using thrower light? Paulit-ulit na to, offices, factory, working area. And study best application for daylight and warm light or cool light. Mga ganyan. So, kita nyo, dilawin talaga ang warm light. Good for mga medyo may aesthetic appeal na mga areas. So, nawawala yung aesthetic appeal. Hindi nagiging malambot eh. Kasi ang warm white is not to be soft light. So, nagiging malambot ang tingin. Nagiging relax ka sa living area. But if this is a work area where you need to have energy, then hindi naman tama na i-warm white kasi tendency mo makatulog. So, that's the big difference between the warm white and the cool white. Okay, so tingnan nyo. We recommend warm white for the living room, dining room, bedroom, or any other room where you want soft lighting. Warm white is more relaxing for the eyes. We recommend cool white for the kitchen, the garage, the workshop, product displays, hair salons. Di ba? Para maliwanag kasi meron kang task info. Okay. So, dito na tayo. So, mananahi. Kasi garment, undergarment factory. What light color would be best for undergarment manufacturing plant? We would suggest that you go for the cool white. Kasi ang cool white, yun yung mga CFL or pamilya ng LED. Na tingnan nyo yung mga warm o kandila, mga yellow. Tingnan nyo kung very cool. Wow, mga pang metal halide ng dating nito. So, we just have to go for the cool white. Okay. What is best lighting factory? Inulit nyo na naman. Cool light. Kung gusto mo ng general lang, wala nang work involved or task involved, well, let's go for the daylight. Pero kung may task involved, let's go for the cool light. Okay, moving on. Okay, sandali lang po. Nag-i-spool siya. Not responding. Nangyari. Okay. Wait lang po Nawawala po yung icon. Oh my, sandali lang po Naka-default yung set of slideshow. Wait lang po. Ito anak ko, yung set of slideshow.
Ay, kasi nakalabas na po kasi yung slide. So, escape lang po natin. Ay, click po dito. Ayan, pwede na po.
Okay, sorry. Okay, dapat pala.
Try pa mo.
Slideshow, start by individual, then manually. Okay.
Tapos F5.
F5.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, sorry po. So now, electrical. Okay, sundan nyo. From a service entry, the service entry is yung kanyang triangle. That's the service entry. Physically, we call it the service entrance cap, weatherhead cap, gooseneck, service entrance, ang dami yung pangalan. So, pag pumasok dito from the service entry, kumbaga sa pipe natin, siya yung distribution main doon sa perimeter fence natin. Papunta yun yung feeder line, papunta. So, isipin nyo yung union patente doon sa may gatewag, yun yung starting point kasi yan yung jurisdiction mo na. Tapos nang papasok siya doon sa ating distribution na primary branch. So, ang tawag sa distribution branch, kung ito ay electrical, is feeder line. So, from the feeder line, pupunta yan sa mga branch. Okay? Branch would be your circuit breakers. Yung, halimbawa, circuit breaker 1, circuit breaker 2, circuit breaker 3, na nakikita naman natin dito sa riser diagram na to. So, dito sa riser diagram na to, sige, sundan natin na from the service entry to the feeder line, going down to the branch lines, yung mga iba't iba, may mga bilog na individual na may circuit breaker na individual. Where does the branch line stop? Eh di, doon sa mo, circuit breaker mo. Kasi di ba, we have this word known as the circuit home run. Every time that, halimbawa, okay, short version na lang, ganyan. And then, tumuro tayong ganyan. Tapos na, nandito yun, kasi ito yung pupuntahan niya. Ito yung pinanggalingan niya. Okay? And then, we place 1. So, circuit breaker yan eh. Di ba? Pupunta yung circuit breaker 1. So, this is the home run. Okay, ito yung panel board mo, pero mag-stop siya doon. Or, nanggaling siya doon to feed in this circuit. So, that would be now your circuit breaker. Okay? Study riser diagram, study circuit breaker diagram. Circuit breaker diagram is yung mismo nasa box. Yun ito. Yan. Binukat ko lang. Yung nasa right. Sorry. Okay. So, yan yan. Kaya, pag nakita natin itong illustration na to, we see that you have your single line representation of the electrical system, which is your circuit breaker diagram. We call it riser diagram. So there, napapansin nyo from the service entry, service entry sa riser diagram tayo pababa. You have the meter, then it goes UF or underground feeder. It goes to the service switch or safety switch, and it goes to your panel board, which has the circuit breakers and the numbers. Okay? Numbers represent the circuit number, or branch circuit number 1, branch circuit number 2, yung mga tipong ganyan. So, kung ang pinunto niya dito, study riser diagram, study circuit breaker diagram, we should know that normally, ang sequence ng circuit breaker mo, nag-start sa, nag-start muna sa mga ilaw, lahat muna ng ilaw, tapos power, sabihin niya na lahat yan ng mga convenience outlet. And then the third would be now your individual circuitry, which are the independent circuits, like mga nangangailangan ng 3 phase, like range, rev, aircon, etc. So yun yung protocol, lighting, power, and independent circuit. Kaya kung paano mo ni number 1, 2, 3, 4, yun din yung sequence na mangyayari sa kanya. Okay? Additional information here. So makikita nyo, bakit ang site plan ay importante sa working drawing mo sa electrical sheet. Well, it shows the presence of the feeder kung saan dumaan. That's the reason why every time that you design a kitchen, it is always related to a carport. Kasi from the carport, makikita mo yung gate ng carport mo. Diba may poste? Yung poste yung ginagamit as concrete pedestal pole for your gooseneck na meron siyang RSA, registered conduit. So makikita mo lang lumabas is yung metro. Hindi mo nakita yung term RSA, registered conduit. Nakita mo lang meron siyang gooseneck. And then, nandun siya sa loob ng concrete pedestal pole na nagiging poste ng iyong gate. And then, wagapang yan sa ilalim ng carport mo sa medyo malapit sa perimeter. At dediretso, pumupunta yan sa wall ng iyong kitchen where you have a hang cabinet, and from the hang cabinet, nandun mo nilalagay, tinatago yung iyong lighting panel or yung power panel. So it is important that you present a site plan for that. And then, just to give you an illustrative presentation of the riser diagram, kasi single line to eh. So, nanggagaling tayo sa secondary line, which gives us a 230 volts na service. Pag bumaba yun, we call it the service entrance drop or service drop, and represented by the service entrance cable. Pumasok sa loob ng ating gooseneck or the service entrance cap, which now divides the jurisdiction of the authority at sa'yo. Basta pumasok yung service entrance cable na sa'yo na yan. Pero pag nasa labas, jurisdiction yan ng authority ng Meralco. So, bumaba yung service entrance cable, nasa loob na ng RSC, which is the registered conduit. Sa loob, nandun na yung malaki, the feeder. And yung feeder dumaan sa metro for calibration. So, yung feeder mo nasa loob pa rin ng RSC, now we call it UF, and then pupunta sa safety switch. Sometimes, ngayon mas maganda na kasi pagbukas mo ng circuit breaker integrated din services, hindi na isa pang lata o isa pang metal na enclosure ulit yan. Pero sa mga conventional din pag nanggamit. Pero sa mga iba, pagbukas nila ng pinaka-opening ng kanilang panel board, nandun na yung safety switch. Okay? So, safety switch, which is at a rating of 60 amps or 100 amps, depending on your load or tabulated load. And then, from there, lalabas na yung gagapang yan sa kisame mo to serve branch circuit number 1, which happens to be lighting, or branch circuit number 2, which happens to be your duplex convenience outlet. So, ganun lang. Riser diagram. Okay? And, prior to, sabi na natin, occupied mo na yung mismong building or mismong bahay mo. So, this is the final step prior to installation of electric meter and service energization of facilities. So, it has to be what? Okay, so kung ang answer was letter C, tama kayo doon. Final inspection conducted by Meralco in the presence of the customer or his representative. And these are the steps based on law. Contact electrical contractor, contact local utility, and tingnan nyo. Notify local utility Meralco yan of your local governing body when the work is complete kasi tetest nila. So, it corresponds to letter C. Okay? Kasasabi ko lang, the service drop. So, the service drop is yun. Bakit pa naka-draft? There are two things that you have to know when it comes to the dropping. Number 1, it drags the surge. Kung meron mang malakas bumubulusok. So, yung dragging, yung resistance is because of the loop. And then, number 2, of course, is the drip ng ulan para hindi pumasok sa loob ng iyong gooseneck. So, kita nyo dito, conductors of a service drop or lateral are owned and maintained by the utility company. Once na nasa labas pa yan, still under the jurisdiction of the utility company. Pero once na pumasok sa gooseneck mo, sa service cap mo, jurisdiction mo na yan. So, yan yung union patente ng electrical. A truck accidentally hits an electric post, will it cause damage to the circuit breakers or fuse? Yes, it is most likely to affect. Siyempre, magkakaroon ng surging. Okay? Can cause surge which can damage the integrity of the electrical circuitry. Will it damage appliances depending on the intensity ng surge? Siyempre. Pero may mga appliances ngayon that they are equipped with a miniature fuse. Minsan yun na nagsisira, hindi mismo yung appliance. But again, we do not have multiple choice here, so we just looked into the most critical answer to questions or situations like this. Differentiate cable wire from electrical wire. Kung ang pinag-usapan natin yung mismong wire yung conductor, that's the electrical wire. Kung ang pinag-usapan natin ay yung wire ay nabalutan na ng insulation, that's the cable wire with the insulation or the sheath. Okay, so tingnan nyo. The basic key difference between wires and cables is that a wire is a single conductor, whereas a cable is a group of conductors. And in case of cables, they run parallelly and are twisted or banded together to form a single case. So for safety purpose, an in and outer sheet is made. So ang mas lamang na nakikita natin, it is sheeted, it is with insulation. What is the use of a ground wire? Okay, ground wire, grounding, sabi nila. So a ground wire provides the resistance to earth ground or chases ground to prevent electrocution. So there's always a third wire. One is positive, the other one is negative, and the other one is neutral. So the neutral wire is the ground wire. So kung din ba may excesses ng pagbigay ng EMF or electromotive force, siyang sasapo and then it place it at the ground, as in literal na ground. Huwag nga lang na pag nagkataon nagkaganon, ay nandun ka pa, nakatapak ka pa at basa pa, ay Diyos ko makukuryente ka talaga. So kamatay-matay, meron akong naging experience sa ganyan, medyo nangilig ang kalamnan at medyo talagang, hindi naman yung tipong talagang patay on the spot, kaya lang talagang nakonsya na parang instant gun, ganun ang dati. So hindi biro. Standard color for ground wire, of course, we normally use, especially in Asia, green. Okay. Sometimes combination niya sa Asia, say yellow or yellow-green. And sa Philippines, nakaset tayo sa green based on Philippine Electrical Code. And what is the code for a live wire? Marami nagsasabi black, but this is the true essence. Red is now the one that is used. Live wires nakalagay. So black is for power lang. Green is grounding. Yellow, carry power but that are not for wiring outage for common plug-in. White and gray indicate neutral. So yeah, yan yung inyong guide ha for color codes. Okay, time reading is part of your electrical. And ang gagawin mo lang naman is magbilang. So direct counting. Ay dito, how many power outages are there? Oh, nakikita niyo naman ang power outage dito. 1, 2, 3, o 4. Okay? And then bilang tayo ng lighting naman. Okay, marami nagkakamali dito kasi ang akala nila yung meron lang parang sanga eh. So hindi nila kinakount, merong bilog dun sa may stairway, which is still a lighting outlet. So bilang, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, diba? 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, o 18. Kitang-kita, dapat na talaga malinaw ang mata. 18 lighting outlets. Now, short circuit happened to the electric fan in the stair landing, which lighting panel will let it twist and check for the condition afterwards. Siguro may twist lang ng konti yung word is dito, ay nakalito kasi yung LP. Lighting panel yan eh, electric fan to, dapat PP or power panel. As I've said in the circuit breaker diagram, hindi pwedeng 1 or circuit breaker number 1, ilaw yan eh. So, halimbawa mga saksi, kaya minsan nililabel. So, lighting pa rin lighting yan. Hanggang sa mapunta in plain simple circuitry, when you go for 1, that's lighting. When you go for this, already power. So, malamang nasa 2 yan, circuit breaker number 2. So, check ng 1, ng electrician. Kasi, nag-tweak. Paano yung malalaman nag-tweak? Yung pinaka-switch wala sa kanan, wala sa kaliwa, nasa gitna, so nag-neutral. So, alam niya na nangyari ang protection ng circuit breaker dun sa part na yun, ng circuit breaker. Kasi once na yung circuit nag-over, mag-tweak kagad yun. So, yung tweak niya nasa gitna. Okay. Naintindihan ba?